Chapter 30, 745. On the fourth floor of the Tower of Time, Long Chun created a high-speed time realm where time was accelerated by 1,000,000 times. He possessed the complete inheritance of the Void Infinity Dragon. His body had turned into the Void Infinity Dragon, and he had comprehended the time rule to the extreme. In this high-speed time realm, Long Chun turned into the primordial dragon's sacrificial ceremony and started to cultivate the eighth world's origin of the primordial dragon's sacrificial ceremony with the power of primordial chaos, creation, and primordial chaos. The other seven worlds' origins revolved around Long Chun like stars surrounding the moon, helping him cultivate the eighth world's origin. After tens of thousands of years, Long Chun might be able to cultivate the eighth world's origin of the primordial dragon's sacrificial ceremony. By then, only 1 month would have passed in the outside world. I must be faster, faster, faster. When Long Chun thought of Mo Xiaolang, who had sacrificed himself and burned his body to seal the 4 sky-devouring clan holy masters, he couldn't help wanting to overdraft his limits. Although Long Chun felt that Mo Xiaolang had only burned his sun-devouring demonic wolf's body instead of his soul, Mo Xiaolang should be in a state of life and death. He might not be completely dead. However, no matter what, Mo Xiaolang had sacrificed a lot. It was imaginable how difficult it would be to see Mo Xiaolang again. If he didn't have a good solution, it was almost impossible to see Mo Xiaolang again. Therefore, even if it was for Mo Xiaolang's sacrifice, Long Chun couldn't slack off. He had to live up to the cultivation environment that his brother had created for him. He had to sacrifice himself to buy time. Just you wait, Holy Master Soul Devourer. With hatred for the sky-devouring clan Holy Master, Long Chun cultivated at an extremely fast speed in the high-speed time realm. It wouldn't be long before the primordial dragon's sacrificial ceremony reached completion. While Long Chun was cultivating in the high-speed time realm, a strange change started to happen in the 10,000 worlds. No one knew when it started, but it was as if something had parasitized all the living beings in the 10,000 worlds, and their behavior became extremely suspicious. This was Holy Master Soul Devourer scattering his soul and using the laws of parasitism to control all the living beings in the 10,000 worlds. Furthermore, Holy Master Soul Devourer's mental energy was the strongest among the sky-devouring race holy masters of the sky-devouring sacred lords. He could split billions of soul power into the bodies of other living beings and parasitize their souls. After being possessed, these living beings would listen to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's orders and become the fangs and claws of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. The range of Soul Devourer started to spread from a small number of worlds. From the very beginning, the method of soul parasitism was very secretive. Once it was done, it would be done by parasitizing all the living beings in that world without leaving anything behind. Then, it would move from one world to another, gradually parasitizing more and more living beings. All beings in the 10,000 worlds were unknowingly controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's mental energy. Even the ancestral gods of the Fifth Era didn't notice anything strange. Soon, even some of the ancestral gods of the Fifth Era had their souls parasitized because the mental energy of the ancestral gods of the Fifth Era was too insignificant compared to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's mental energy. The calamity was spreading, but no one noticed it. That was because the living beings that had been parasitized did not do anything too outstanding. Instead, they kept a very low profile, as if they were waiting for something. What these parasites were waiting for was, of course, for Sacred Lord Soul Devourer to infect all the living beings of the infinite worlds. With Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's powerful mental energy, it wasn't impossible for him to do this. Of course, if he wanted to parasitize even stronger people, he would need even more psychic energy. Parasitizing those Fifth-era ancestor gods and so on would require a lot more psychic energy. If he parasitized the ordinary living beings of the infinite worlds, the amount of psychic energy he would need would be so small that it was almost negligible. This was because those ordinary living beings were simply too weak. However, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer didn't let a single one of them go. Every living being in a world that he had scanned with his mental energy was controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. 1 day? 2 days? As time passed, more and more worlds fell into the hands of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Even now, no one had noticed it. Some ancestral gods did notice that something was wrong. However, as soon as they noticed it, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer used his mental energy to parasitize their souls without anyone noticing. Gradually, the claws of the Soul Devourer finally arrived from all directions after half a month and spread to the dragon's sacrificial continent. All the living beings on the dragon's sacrificial continent, including the Dragon Emperor, were all controlled by this Soul Devourer method. At this point, it had been almost a month since Long Chen entered the Tower of Time. Under Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's stealthy infiltration, there wasn't a single normal place in the entire Infinite Worlds. All the living beings in the Infinite Worlds had been controlled by the Soul Devourer method, including the numerous living beings on the dragon's sacrificial continent. If there were any living beings that hadn't been controlled, it would be the living beings in the Tower of Time, the life and death realms, and the other companion worlds that hadn't been controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. It was also at this time that Long Chen's cultivation in the Tower of Time finally came to an end. The outside world had been turned upside down by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer in just 1 month. Meanwhile, in the high-speed time domain on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, Long Chen had finally cultivated the origin of the 8th world of the primordial dragon's sacrificial ceremony. The moment he fully grasped the inheritance of the primordial dragon's sacrificial ceremony, the origin of the 8 worlds, which contain the power of primordial chaos, creation, and primordial chaos, revolved around Long Chen. These were the 3 primordial laws that he had completely grasped. 1 month in the outside world was almost 100,000 years in the Tower of Time. Long Chen had finally become the most powerful primordial dragon's sacrificial ceremony. He was even a bit more powerful than the second ancestral dragon. If Long Chen were to face Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and the other 3 Sacred Lords, he definitely wouldn't be in a disadvantageous position. Mo Shaoling wouldn't have to sacrifice himself to seal the Sacred Lords either. It's time. Chapter 3746. When Long Chen came out of the Tower of Time and arrived at the Infinite Worlds, he felt that the atmosphere here was different. It was as if the entire Infinite Worlds had changed over the past month. The air was filled with a strange mental energy. Long Chen felt a familiar aura from it. It was the same mental energy that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer used to control him. Long Chen used the Eye of Life to scan the entire Infinite Worlds. First, he looked at the dragon's sacrificial continent. At this moment, because Long Chen had achieved the strongest primordial dragon's sacrificial ceremony, the territory of the dragon's sacrificial continent had expanded by several times. However, in this expanded territory of the dragon's sacrificial dragon continent, Long Chen only felt a strange atmosphere and a silence that made one despair. At this time, all the living beings actually didn't make the slightest bit of noise, and all of them were quietly staying in their original spots. Including the Dragon Emperor and the others on the dragon's sacrificial continent, they were all like puppets and didn't move at all. What's going on? Long Chen's expression changed drastically. He knew that a huge change must have happened in the Infinite Worlds during the month he was in seclusion. However, he couldn't figure out what this change was. He felt the mental energy aura of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer on the dragon's sacrificial continent and the billions of living beings in the Infinite Worlds. He thought to himself, could all the living beings in the Infinite Worlds be controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer? This isn't good. Long Chen's expression darkened. He immediately called out Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and the others in his divine kingdom. While he was cultivating, Lingxi and Li Xuanji were in his divine kingdom. Long Chen's children and the others were in the ancestral dragon's companion world. It seemed like nothing had happened to them. It was just that all the living beings in the Infinite Worlds had met with some kind of mishap. It seems like they've been controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. What should we do now? Lingxi was extremely worried when she sensed the state of the living beings in the 10,000 worlds. She had a kind nature, and the actions of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer made Lingxi angry. Since Sacred Lord Soul Devourer has taken control of all beings in the 10,000 worlds, he obviously won't just do things randomly. If I'm not wrong, he will contact us very soon. Long Chen guessed in a deep voice. Hee. Long Chen, you guessed it right. Right at this moment, the voices of countless beings from all over the 10,000 worlds sounded toward Long Chen. Through Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's powerful mental energy, the voices of billions of beings appeared in Long Chen's ears almost at the same time. This was the true 10,000 worlds speaking at the same time. All living beings in the 10,000 worlds were controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and his voice was transmitted to Long Chen at the same time. Long Chen's blood instantly boiled, and his anger burned. Long Chen, what do you think? This Sacred Lord has already controlled all living beings in the 10,000 worlds. If you want to kill this Sacred Lord, you'll have to kill all living beings in the 10,000 worlds. Otherwise, you won't be able to kill me. Hee. The 10,000 worlds speaking at the same time was extremely spectacular, and it was an unbearable scene for Long Chen. All living beings in the 10,000 worlds were controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. If he wanted to kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, he would have to kill billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. This put Long Chen in a dilemma. He had finally cultivated the 8th world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony and wanted to come out of the Tower of Time to find Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and kill him. However, it seemed that it was still very troublesome. At least, it was impossible for Long Chen to kill billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. The living beings in the 10,000 worlds weren't strong, but they were all innocent living beings that Long Chen wanted to protect. How could he send them to their graves? Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, you're right. I indeed can't kill you. However, in this situation, it's impossible for you to kill me, Long Chen. What advantage do you think you have? Long Chen soon sneered. He had figured out the crux of the matter. Therefore, it could be said that he was evenly matched with Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Although he couldn't kill billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds to kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had distributed his mental energy to billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. As a result, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's strength had become extremely weak. Whether it was relying on Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's remaining strength or trying to control billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. Even if Sacred Lord Soul Devourer wanted to kill Long Chen, it was impossible. After Long Chen finished speaking, he recalled Ling Shi and the others into his divine kingdom. Then, he directly crossed the life and death realms and stepped out of the Death Realm Dragon Gate. He headed towards the place where Mo Xiaoling had self-destructed his divine body and sealed the other 3 sky-devouring clan holy lords. Since he couldn't kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer for the time being, the only thing Long Chen could do now was to find a way to kill the other 3 sacred lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan. Previously, Long Chen couldn't do anything about the 9-flame sun refining seal. However, now that he had completed the complete primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, which was a level higher than before, he might be able to deal with the seal. Very soon, Long Chen passed through the Death Realm Dragon Gate and arrived at the 9-flame sun refining seal. This place was located in the void, and the living beings controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer were all weak existences. The 5th era ancestral god was the strongest, but even the 5th era ancestral god posed no threat to Long Chen. Therefore, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer didn't control the living beings of the 10,000 worlds to deal with Long Chen. After all, doing so would consume a lot of mental energy. Originally, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer only controlled the living beings of the 10,000 worlds to protect himself, but Sacred Lord Soul Devourer felt that his chance might come when he saw Long Chen arrive near the 9-flame sun refining seal. As expected, the 9 ancestral flames in the 9-flame sun refining seal all come from the same source as the ancestral god dragon. The only one that doesn't come from the same source is the primal chaos heaven-devouring fire. I can easily block it with my current cultivation. Long Chen soon felt that his aura was the same as the 9-flame sun refining seal, So he calmed himself down and stepped into the nine-flame sun refining seal. Whether it was to completely kill the three sacred lords of the sky-devouring race or check the state of Mo Xiaolong's soul, he had to enter the giant mixed flames of the nine-flame sun refining seal in order to find the result. Right now, Long Chen had completed the perfect primordial sacrificial dragon and charged into the nine-flame sun refining seal after turning into the primordial sacrificial dragon. He then tried to contact Mo Xiaolong, but he didn't receive any response. It looked like Mo Xiaolong's soul was most likely sealed in the nine-flame sun refining seal. Only the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was destroyed, but the soul was definitely still there. If that's the case, I'll kill the sacred lords of the sky-devouring race first, and then try to call Xiaolong. Long Chen made his decision and started to search for the three sacred lords of the sky-devouring race sealed within the giant, mixed flames of the nine-flame sun refining seal. Chapter 30, 747. Long Chen entered the nine-sun flame refining seal and used the ancestral dragon's inheritance that came from the same source as the 9 types of ancestral fire to successfully travel through it. The chaotic sky-devouring fire, which had a different origin, couldn't do much damage to Long Chen. Very soon, he found one of the sacred lords of the sky-devouring race that was completely sealed within the giant ball of fire, Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's body was just a giant ball of flesh, and his mouth took up more than a third of his body. Although he was sealed by the 9-sun flame refining seal, he still maintained an extremely ferocious appearance. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, you've devoured the most divine dragons. Now that you're trapped by the 9-sun flame refining seal, your retribution has finally arrived. Long Chen approached Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon and snickered coldly. Although Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's body had been sealed, his mind was still awake. He obviously saw Long Chen's arrival. Long Chen, what are you so proud of? Even if you can kill me, it's only because I'm trapped by the sun-devouring demonic wolf. If you have the guts, let me out and we'll fight fair and square. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's voice was filled with endless darkness and ferocity. If he was let out, it would definitely be another battle of life and death. However, Long Chen obviously wouldn't be so stupid as to let Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon out. After all, Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was sealed after Mo Xiaolong self-destructed his divine body. How could Long Chen ruin the efforts of his best brother? You know it's impossible to let you out. Just accept reality and die. A cold glint appeared in Long Chen's eyes as murderous intent spread throughout his body. After turning into the primordial sacrificial dragon, the nomological powers of chaos, primordial chaos, and creation surrounded him, and the primordial bronze pagoda appeared in front of him. The primal chaos law made everything return to primal chaos. The primordial chaos law made the heavens start from the primordial chaos. The creation law made everything in the world a creation. The 3 powerful nomological forces fused and condensed above the primordial bronze pagoda. Then, they fused with the primordial sacrificial dragon divine body that Long Chen had transformed into. Suddenly, a huge dragon claw was formed. Heaven-ripping primordial beginning. With a furious roar from Long Chen, the dragon claw condensed the power of primordial chaos, creation, and primordial chaos laws, instantly tearing apart Holy Lord Devouring Dragon's sealed body. Divine Lord Devouring Dragon wanted to say something, but he didn't have the chance. This Divine Lord of the Sky-Devouring clan, who had devoured the most divine dragons, was finally killed by Long Chen's primordial sky-ripping strike. His soul was torn apart by the primordial sacrificial dragon's claws and turned into ashes. Only the energy that belonged to Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was left in the 9-flame sun refining seal, and it was temporarily sealed, unable to escape from the giant mixed flames. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon is finally dead. In that case, Sacred Lord Devouring Yin and Sacred Lord Xueqi have to be eliminated first. Long Chen tried to call Mo Xiaolong, but there was still no response. Hence, he could only continue searching in the huge flames. There were also Sacred Lord Devouring Yin and Sacred Lord Xueyama, the two sky-devouring clan divine lords that Long Chen had to kill. Very soon, he found Sacred Lord Xueyama, who was sealed in the Nine Flames Sun refining seal. At this moment, Sacred Lord Xueyama's entire body was a ball of flesh. It was pitch black with a tinge of blood red and exuded a nauseating aura. Under the refining seal of the 9 ancestral fires, Sacred Lord Xueyama couldn't move at all. He could only let the 9 ancestral fires burn on his body. If this situation continued, Sacred Lord Xueyama would be completely refined by the 9 ancestral fires even without Long Chen's help. Of course, it would take an unimaginable amount of time. It might take tens of thousands of years, or hundreds of thousands of years, or even longer. Long Chen obviously couldn't wait that long. He had to eliminate Sacred Master Xueyama right now. Especially when he saw Sacred Lord Xueyama's body, Long Chen thought of his father, Long Qinglan. Long Qinglan's body was once parasitized by the Black Yama beasts and was corrupted. Sacred Lord Xueyama was the leader of the Black Yama beasts. From the beginning, Long Chen had a deep-rooted hatred for him. The dead couldn't return. The culprit of all this was the Sky-Devouring Clan. As the leader of the Sky-Devouring Clan, Sacred Lord Xueyama was the target that Long Chen had to eliminate in his life. Now he finally had the chance. Long Chen, you're finally here? Sacred Lord Xueyama's bloodthirsty voice could be heard. Obviously, he had already sensed the death of Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon. Therefore, he roughly knew what his fate was. In the 9 Flames refining sun seal, he couldn't resist at all and could only be killed by Long Chen. Even so, he wouldn't let Long Chen have it easy. From now on, Sacred Lord Xueyama's name shall be erased from this world. Long Chen was filled with hatred. That's right, but so what? After all, Long Chen, your father, your senior dragon attendant, was killed before me. TSK, TSK, TSK. Even if I die, I'll die later than your elders. I'll be satisfied even if I die. Hee hee. Sacred Lord Xueyama said with hatred. You're courting death. Long Chen's eyes were filled with anger. Sacred Lord Xueyama's words had obviously poked his sore spot. Long Chen had always been pained by the death of his father and the 8 dragon servants. Now that Sacred Lord Xueyama had used these words to provoke Long Chen, it was only speeding up his own death. Primordial Sky Ripping. Long Chen turned into the primordial sacrificial dragon and merged with the primordial bronze pagoda. So, what if you kill me? The dead won't return. Ha 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 ha. Sacred Lord Xueyama laughed wildly. In the next instant, the black meatball was instantly torn apart by the primordial sky-ripping dragon's claws. His laughter stopped abruptly. Sacred Lord Xueyama was dead. The remaining power of Sacred Lord Xueyama was contained in the 9 Flames refining sun seal. Once the seal dissipated, the power that originated from the infinite worlds would return to the infinite worlds, allowing the infinite worlds to return to the scale before the epoch. Although Sacred Lord Xueyama was dead, his words made Long Chen's mood extremely bad. Although he had always remembered this hatred in his heart and had never forgotten it, he was still infuriated when Sacred Lord Xueyama mentioned it. There's also Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. He sealed half of the infinite worlds in ice the moment he came out of the primordial world. I can't let him go today. Long Chen's killing intent surged. He quickly found the last Sacred Lord of the Sky-Devouring Clan sealed in the 9 Flames refining sun seal. The giant bird that looked like an ice sculpture. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin was naturally prepared for Long Chen's arrival. The coldness around his body was completely suppressed by the 9 Flames refining sun seal and couldn't be used. Facing Long Chen, he had no ability to resist at all. Today is the Winter Festival. I wish everyone a happy Winter Festival. Eat some glutinous rice balls and dumplings. The new Heaven Devouring record regular script has more than 6 million views in 20 days. The speed is way faster than Dragon Blood's. I estimate that it won't be a problem to reach 10 million views in a month. Thank you everyone for your support. Chapter 37:48. Long Chun came before the giant bird that looked like an ice sculpture. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at the culprit that had frozen half of the worlds. Holy Lord Devouring Yin. Holy Lord Devouring Yin, die. Long Chun didn't waste any time. He turned into the primeval sacrificial dragon and used the primeval copper pagoda as the medium to condense the primordial chaos, creation, and chaos rules. It turned into a huge dragon claw that tore Holy Lord Devouring Yin's body into pieces. Long Chun.
So, what if you kill me?
The sky-swallowing clan will devour this world. All living beings in the worlds will become food for the sky-swallowing clan. Holy Lord Devouring Yin shouted with great unwillingness. Then, he was completely destroyed by Long Chun's primeval tearing sky. His soul was destroyed, and his body was destroyed. He disappeared from this world. Long Chun didn't care about what Holy Lord Devouring Yin shouted before he died. No matter what, he only had one thought about the sky-swallowing clan, to kill them all. He wouldn't let them have the chance to devour the worlds. Holy Lord Devouring Dragon, Holy Lord Xueqi, and Holy Lord Devouring Yin, the three sky-swallowing clan Holy Lords were eliminated by Long Chun and Mo Xiaolong's Nine Flames Sun Refining Seal. The remaining strength of the sky-swallowing clan was cut down by half. This was a very important victory in the battle against the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lords. It was also something that Long Chun hadn't expected. Xiaolang? Long Chun started searching in the Nine Flames Sun Refining Seal. Mo Xiaolong's soul should still be in this huge fireball. As long as he found it, he might be able to let Mo Xiaolang return. Originally, the Nine Fire Refining Sun Seal used the sun-devouring demonic wolf's body as a medium and Mo Xiaolong's divine soul as a seal to suppress the three sky-devouring race Holy Lords. But now that the three sky-devouring race Holy Lords were dead, Xiaolang didn't need to expend energy suppressing the Holy Lords. Long Chun didn't have to search for long before he saw a sun-devouring god-wolf in the center of the Nine-Flame Refining Sun Seal. It was constantly absorbing the energy of the entire Nine-Flame Refining Sun Seal. The 9 kinds of ancestral flame energy were constantly condensing in the sun-devouring god-wolf's body. Xiaolang. Long Chun was overjoyed. He rushed over and found that it was indeed Mo Xiaolang reviving. When the three-headed sky-devouring clan Holy Lord died, Mo Xiaolang recovered his consciousness and was reborn from the seal. He absorbed the power of the Nine Flames Refining Sun Seal and returned to his peak state. However, Mo Xiaolang was still recovering and couldn't move, so Long Chun guarded him. At this moment, an accident happened. After Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, Sacred Lord Blood Yama, and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin died, the enormous amount of energy within their bodies was suppressed by the Nine Flame Refining Sun Seal. However, as Mo Xiaolang revived, the Nine Flame Refining Sun Seal started to weaken, and the 3 balls of energy started to spread across the 10,000 worlds. This energy was originally devoured by the sky-devouring race Holy Lords from the 10,000 worlds. Returning to the 10,000 worlds was originally a good thing. It would definitely allow the 10,000 worlds to recover and increase their yuan qi. However, Long Chun forgot that there was still Sacred Lord Soul Devouring eyeing the 10,000 worlds. While Long Chun was guarding Mo Xiaolong's resurrection, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had already quietly abandoned his parasitic control over the billions of living beings in the infinite worlds. Instead, he silently came to the void where Long Chun and Mo Xiaolang were and suddenly erupted, completely devouring the power that belonged to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. This scene shocked Long Chun. After devouring the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring Dragon, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring's aura increased dramatically. His power had more than doubled, and he became even more terrifying. Of course, this wasn't what Long Chun was afraid of. Even so, Long Chun was confident that he could defeat him. What Long Chun was worried about was that Sacred Lord Soul Devouring's concealment technique was very good. If he let him escape and devoured the power of Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, it would be even more dangerous to the 10,000 worlds. Stop! Long Chen roared. His body suddenly turned into a divine dragon and charged towards Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring had just devoured the power of Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring and hadn't had time to digest it yet. Now that he saw that Long Chen was a complete primordial sacrificial dragon, he didn't dare to fight head-on with Long Chen, so he immediately turned around and ran. Seeing this, Long Chen didn't chase after him. Instead, he turned around and shattered the two balls of power that belonged to Sacred Lord Blood Yama and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. Then, the two balls of power scattered across the 10,000 worlds. It was impossible for Sacred Lord Soul Devouring to devour them in one go. As the power of the two Sacred Lords of the Sky Devouring clans spread across the 10,000 worlds, the power of the 10,000 worlds started to recover. The yuan qi increased greatly, and the space continued to expand. The entire dragon sacrificial dragon world was slowly returning to how it was before the epoch. Of course, there was still a long way to go before it could completely recover, but as long as the power of two more Sacred Lords returned, the 10,000 worlds would recover. Because Mo Xiaoling was still reviving, Long Chen didn't dare to leave him in case he was ambushed. Therefore, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring ran very quickly during this period of time and didn't dare to stay near Long Chen. The primordial sacrificial dragon in its complete state wasn't something the current Sacred Lord Soul Devouring could block. Even if he devoured the power of Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring, it would still be the same. After all, it would take a lot of time to digest it. The divine body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf soon absorbed all the power sealed in the 9-fire refining sun, and it finally opened its eyes. From those eyes, Long Chen saw the light that only belonged to Mo Xiaoling. After the 3 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring clan died, Mo Xiaoling had finally returned. Mo Xiaoling's divine body had been reborn amidst the 9 ancestral fires, and he had recovered to his peak. He had even devoured some of the 3 great Sacred Lords' energy during this period of time. Therefore, Mo Xiaoling's current state was even better than before he self-detonated his divine body. Xiaoling, welcome back. There's still another Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. Let's team up and kill it. Long Chen was excited. He had been afraid that the wolf cub would leave him forever because of this. Now he could finally relax. Although Xiaoling had just revived, he knew what had happened very well. He knew that Sacred Lord Soul Devouring had devoured the power of Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring and was escaping through the 10,000 worlds. They had to kill him as quickly as possible, otherwise, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring would be able to cause great destruction in the 10,000 worlds. And let's go. Mo Xiaoling nodded his head, and the sun-devouring demonic wolf roared as it followed Long Chen and chased after the escaping Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring doesn't want to destroy the 10,000 worlds. Instead, he wants to escape to the ancestral world. He's heading toward the origin ground of the divine dragons. Chapter 3749. Long Chen and Xiaoling didn't act rashly after seeing Sacred Lord Soul Devourer break through the barriers of the 10,000 worlds and enter the origin ground of the God Dragon. The origin ground of the God Dragon can lead to the Primogenita's world, but it's very mysterious. I wonder if Sacred Lord Soul Devourer can really reach the Primogenita's world, Mo Xiaoling thought. No matter if he can reach the Primogenita's world or not, we can't act rashly. We need to plan carefully. Long Chen said in a deep tone. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer escaped, and Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring, Sacred Lord Blood Yama, and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin have all been killed. The 10,000 worlds can be said to be temporarily safe. No matter what, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer won't dare to return to the 10,000 worlds. The other 3 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing race have been sealed by the Primogenitor God Dragon and won't be able to come out. And, Big Brother, should we rest for a bit? Mo Xiaoling asked. The 10,000 worlds have been destroyed and need to rest, but we don't have much time. Once we're ready, We'll chase into the Primogenita's world and kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Long Chen nodded. Right now, Long Chen had cultivated the 8 inheritances of the ancestral dragon to the max. The primordial dragon's sacrifice inheritance was the strongest. If he used the primordial dragon's sacrifice inheritance, even if Sacred Lord Soul Devourer absorbed Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring's power, he wouldn't dare to fight against Long Chen. Therefore, in terms of cultivation, Long Chen didn't have anything to improve. The only thing he needed to consider was the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon. Unfortunately, Long Chen still hadn't found any clues left behind by the first ancestral dragon, and the Jade Dragon Dao seal didn't have any reaction. It wouldn't be so easy to obtain the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon. Apart from Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, there's a primal chaos sky-swallowing dragon among the other 3 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race. This time, I must go to the Primogenitor's world and kill all of them and return the 10,000 worlds to their original state. Long Chen thought as he returned to the infinite worlds to take a short break. He didn't immediately go to the Primogenitor's world because he had plenty of time. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was the one that needed to be worried because Sacred Lord Soul Devourer no longer had any chance of turning the tables. As long as Long Chen went to the Primogenitor's world, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer would die for sure. The power of Sacred Lord Xueqi and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin, the 2 sacred lords of the Sky Devouring clan, spread throughout the infinite world and started to revive the power of the infinite world. The territories of the infinite world were expanding and everything was thriving. However, the chaos caused by the 4 great holy lords still brought great destruction to the myriad worlds. The most serious was that a few worlds were devoured by the sky-swallowing clan holy lords. The billions of living beings in those worlds were instantly annihilated and disappeared from the world. Long Chen couldn't do anything in this situation. He couldn't revive those living beings at all. Luckily, Long Chen broke the ice seal in time and didn't let the sky-swallowing clan holy lords devour more worlds. There were only a few worlds that suffered from the disaster. Moreover, after Sacred Lord Devouring Yin died, a small portion of the infinite world that was sealed in the ice started to recover and return to its previous temperature. The vitality of the infinite world was gradually recovering. In this battle, Long Chen killed 3 of the opposing sacred lords and chased away Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Such a result spread throughout the infinite world, and everyone cheered. Without a doubt, all living beings in the infinite world were extremely excited about Long Chen's victory and the defeat of the sky-swallowing clan. Billions of living beings had always been under the shadow of the sky-swallowing clan, but now that Long Chen killed 3 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing clan, all living beings were relieved. It seemed that the sky-swallowing clan holy lords weren't a match for Long Chen. Such a situation made all living beings in the infinite world feel much more at ease. Everyone hoped that Long Chen could kill every last member of the sky-swallowing clan. That way, the infinite world would be truly safe. Now, although they obtained a temporary victory, the sky-swallowing clan still had a few sacred lords left. They were probably stronger than the ones that died, so the danger still existed. Long Chen had to kill all the sacred lords of the sky-swallowing clan. Long Chen rested for 2 days in the infinite world and prepared to depart. Now that he had completed the 8 great ancestral dragon inheritances, he didn't need to spend too much time cultivating. There was no point in cultivating, so it was better to depart early and chase after the enemy. This time, it was still the same people that entered the Primogenitor's world. Long Chen didn't bring any more people, because there was no need for that. The infinite world still needed someone to guard it. Long Chen, Mo Xiaoling, Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and Kitten, a total of 5 people. Other than Mo Xiaoling, the other 3 were in Long Chen's celestial kingdom. They followed Long Chen to the origin ground of the divine dragon. Ancestor god Pengu and the other ancestor gods of the 5th era came to send Long Chen off. Long Chen, be careful. The future of the infinite world depends on whether you can kill all the sacred lords of the sky-swallowing clan. Ancestor god Pengu said solemnly, his voice filled with endless anticipation. "Everyone, don't worry. I will do my best." Long Chen nodded. To him, killing the sacred lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan was his responsibility. He had a blood feud with the Sky-Swallowing clan. Even without others saying anything, he would do his best to deal with the sacred lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan. As long as there was a chance, he wouldn't let them live. Then, everyone went their separate ways. Mo Xiaoling also entered Long Chen's celestial kingdom, leaving Long Chen alone to enter the origin ground of the divine dragon. Right now, Mo Xiaoling had almost reached the peak, and the fusion of his 9 ancestral fires was extremely powerful. Even if he faced opponents like Sacred Lord Xueqi and Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon alone, he would be able to last for a long time, and he might even be able to defeat them. Therefore, among everyone, Mo Xiaoling was Long Chen's greatest help. Of course, Ling Si and Li Xuanji were also very strong and could help at crucial times. Long Chen had passed by the origin ground of the divine dragon several times. The last time was when he entered the primogenitor world to chase after the sacred Lord God Fiend. He thought that would be the final battle, but he didn't expect that it would lead to the release of the 4 sacred lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan. The sacred Lord God Fiend, who caused chaos in the past, has become history. The sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, sacred Lord Xueqi, and sacred Lord Devouring Yin, who invaded the myriad worlds, are all dead. In the end, none of the sacred lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan will be left. With the confidence to kill the sacred lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan, Long Chen stepped into the origin ground of the divine dragon. In this place where space and time had no meaning, he finally returned to the primogenitor's world after walking for a long time. Eye of Life Origin. Long Chen returned to the primogenitor's world and immediately used the rules to investigate the situation of the primogenitor's world. Chapter 3750. Long Chen had now fully grasped the inheritances of the 8 ancestral dragons, and his understanding of the laws of life had increased as well. Therefore, his Eye of Life could detect the situation of the entire primogenitor world. Although the primogenitor world was vast in the past, there were still some ancestral life forms. However, the current primogenitor world had lost all signs of life and was even more desolate than before. Long Chen searched the entire primogenitor world and only found Sacred Lord Soul Devourer resting near the beehive near the center of the primogenitor world. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had just devoured Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer's power, and it had only been 2 days. He definitely wouldn't have been able to digest all of it. He probably didn't expect Long Chen to catch up so quickly. Found him. Xiaoling, let's go together and kill him as fast as possible. Long Chen told Mo Xiaoling to come out of his divine kingdom, and the 2 of them teamed up and headed toward the beehive where the ancestral god dragon's nest was. This wasn't the first time Mo Xiaoling had come to the primogenitor world. He was already used to this place where time had no meaning, so he didn't feel any discomfort. The 2 of them were extremely fast, so Sacred Lord Soul Devourer naturally found them. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was stunned. "You dare to come? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to go back?" Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was enraged. He didn't expect Long Chen and Mo Xiaoling to be so bold. One had to know that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had escaped back to the primogenitor world, and he definitely wouldn't be able to break through the barrier and go to the 10,000 worlds by himself. The other 3 Sacred Lords of the Sky Devourer race were still sealed. This meant that the 10,000 worlds should be safe now. There was no need for Long Chen and Mo Xiaoling to come to the primogenitor world and take the risk. What would happen to the 10,000 worlds if something happened? Since we're here, we obviously have a way to go back. However, you, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, have caused so much trouble in the 10,000 worlds. Do you really have a way? Long Chen came close and snickered coldly. To Long Chen, the sky-swallowing race had to be completely destroyed. Now that there was no living being in the primogenitor's world that could be controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, it was impossible for him to escape. Furthermore, Since Mo Xiaoling had self-destructed his divine body and reached his peak, it was almost impossible for Sacred Lord Soul Devourer to control Mo Xiaoling again. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had no chance of winning in a 2v1. Damn it! Once I completely absorb Holy Lord Devouring Dragon's power, I might be able to defeat these two brats. Now, we can only fight fiercely and look for opportunities in the chaos. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer wasn't stupid. He knew that his life was hanging by a thread. It would be very difficult for him to block the combined attacks of Long Chen and Mo Xiaoling with just his strength. He only thought that if he could control Mo Xiaoling again, the situation would become much better. Therefore, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had to focus on Mo Xiaoling in this battle. What was ridiculous was that Mo Xiaoling had already been controlled by him once and had broken free from his control. Would he be controlled by him again? The answer was impossible. Go. Long Chen raised his hand and turned into the primordial sacrificial dragon. His dragon body soared in the air of the primordial world, and the primordial bronze pagoda released the 3 types of light of the primordial laws as it appeared in the air. Primordial sky ripping. Long Chen gathered the laws of primordial chaos, and creation into a giant dragon claw that instantly grabbed at Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer recognized this move. It was the move that Long Chen had used to kill Sacred Lord Blood Yama, Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring, and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. Ridiculous. This Sacred Lord isn't like Sacred Lord Blood Yama and the others back then. They were sealed, but I'm not stupid enough to let you hit me. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer snickered coldly, and his giant body split into several phantoms that escaped in all directions. Mental energy phantoms. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer used his laws and turned into 8 mental energy phantoms. Each of these phantoms contained a portion of his mental energy, and they escaped in all directions. Long Chen and Mo Xiaoling could chase after 2 of them at most. As long as the other 6 didn't die, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer wouldn't die. During this period of time, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer might be able to find a chance. However, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer still underestimated Long Chen and Mo Xiaoling. Ancient sacrificial refinement. Killing intent flashed through Long Chen's eyes as he raised his hand. The primordial bronze pagoda instantly became bigger in his hand, and the laws of primordial chaos, creation, and primordial chaos filled the surrounding space. The primordial bronze pagoda became bigger and covered the nearby space, trapping Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's 8 mental energy phantoms within the dimension created by the ancient sacrificial refinement. Then, the 3 primeval laws of primordial chaos, creation, and chaos completely trapped the 8 mental shadows with their supreme refining power and began to refine them. Arg. The expressions of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's 8 mental energy phantoms changed dramatically. He didn't think that Long Chen had already reached such a level and comprehended such laws to be able to trap all 8 of his mental energy phantoms. I have the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer protecting me. This little bit of refinement isn't enough to kill me. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer roared as he devoured the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and used it to form a protective barrier around the 8 mental energy phantoms. They actually managed to block Long Chen's ancient sacrificial refinement. You seem to have ignored me. Right at this moment, Mo Xiaolong's voice sounded from the side. The terrifying power of the 9 ancestral flames then formed a storm of ancestral flames that combined with the 3 laws of primordial chaos and swept towards Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's 8 mental energy phantoms. The protective barrier formed by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's power instantly crumbled under the combined refinement of Long Chen and Mo Xiaoling. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's mental energy phantoms couldn't resist at all and were refined by the laws of primordial chaos, and creation as well as the power of the 9 ancestral flames. The mental energy within the mental energy phantoms was instantly destroyed. Even though Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had used the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, he wasn't able to escape death. This evil Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, who had once controlled Mo Xiaoling and billions of beings in the 10,000 worlds, was finally killed by the combined efforts of Long Chen and Mo Xiaoling. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's life was ended, and the power within his body, including the power that belonged to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, started to spread toward the ancestral world. This power belongs to the 10,000 worlds, but it's scattered in the ancestral world. I need to find a way to send this power back to the 10,000 worlds in order to completely recover. Long Chen felt the power of the two sacred lords and thought of a way. His eyes finally locked onto the primordial bronze pagoda. Chapter 3751. When Long Chen entered the primogenitor's world again, he had already thought about how he could return to the infinite worlds. The previous method would not work because the passage to the infinite worlds behind the beehive had been destroyed by Long Chen previously. In the entire primogenitor's world, there was no longer a passage to the infinite worlds. There were only two ways to return to the infinite worlds. One of them was to gather supreme power to tear the world barrier and return to the infinite worlds through the crack like the four great holy lords. However, this method was time-consuming and exhausting. Moreover, it would be difficult for Long Chen to complete it alone. Even with the help of Mo Xiaoling, it would still be difficult. The second method was to use the primordial bronze pagoda. The passage behind the beehive contained primordial chaos, and creation laws. It was formed by the fusion of these three laws. That passage was created by the primordial dragon's sacrificial ceremony using the primordial bronze pagoda. Before Long Chen destroyed the passage, he already knew the origin of the passage. That was why he was so determined to come to the primogenitor's world. It was because he was confident that he could create a passage to return to the infinite worlds. Now that Long Chen had completed the primordial dragon's sacrificial ceremony, he could use the primordial bronze pagoda to open a passage to the infinite worlds. Xiaoling, keep watch for me. I will use the primordial bronze pagoda to open a passage to the infinite worlds. First, I will send the power of Holy Lord Soul Devourer and Holy Lord Dragon Devourer back to the infinite worlds, Long Chen said to Mo Xiaoling. Mo Xiaoling naturally agreed. Don't worry, big brother. I won't let anything disturb you. In reality, the primogenitor's world was deathly silent. Nothing would appear to disturb Long Chen. There were still 3 sky-swallowing clan holy lords sealed in the giant beehive, but without Long Chen's ancestral dragon essence blood, they could not escape. Therefore, there was no need to worry. Long Chen nodded and began to transform into the primeval sacrificial dragon. He used the primeval copper pagoda to open up a space channel. This would be a permanent channel, just like the one at the back of the beehive. As long as Long Chen did not destroy it, this channel would always exist. For example, the crack that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and the other 3 Sacred Lords created was only a temporary crack. If they didn't use their power to maintain it, it would soon be repaired by the combined power of the 2 worlds. Naturally, what Long Chen hoped for was a permanent passageway. That would be more convenient, but it would also take more time. For the next year, Long Chen used the power of the primeval copper pagoda to condense the primeval rules and open up a passage to the infinite world. After a year, the entire passageway was finally completed. This passageway was created by Long Chen at the edge of the primogenitor's world. It was very far away from the primogenitor god dragon's lair. This was to prevent it from being affected by the battle later on. One had to know that Long Chen wanted to release the last 3 sacred lords and eliminate them one by one. Therefore, there would definitely be a very intense battle near the primogenitor god dragon's lair. The passageway to the infinite world obviously could not be built near the primogenitor god dragon's lair. As soon as the passageway was formed, Long Chen began to transfer the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer back to the infinite world. This power was originally the power of devouring the infinite world. After returning to the infinite world, it would naturally speed up the recovery of the infinite world and make it more prosperous than before. It would be closer to the state of the dragon's sacrificial continent before the epic. Big brother, it's finally finished after a year. Mo Xiaoling was excited as he watched the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer being continuously transferred to the infinite world, and the infinite world becoming prosperous. And there are still the last 3 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing race. We can't let any of them go. Now that we have the initiative, we will definitely be able to kill them all one by one. Long Chen nodded. After Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer finished transferring their power, he brought Mo Xiaoling back to the primogenitor god dragon's lair at the center of the primogenitor world. The 4 Sacred Lords that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer released last time, including Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer, Sacred Lord Blood Yama, and Sacred Lord Devourer In, had all died. Of the 9 caves, there were still 3 caves that sealed the last 3 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing race. Long Chen paced back and forth at the entrances of the 3 caves. He could finally sense the approximate strength of the Sky-Devouring clan's Sacred Lord's aura sealed within the caves. The Sacred Lord sealed in the first cave is the strongest, the Sacred Lord in the second cave is the weakest, and the Sacred Lord in the third cave is the weakest. Long Chen quickly made a judgment and guessed that the Sacred Lord in the second cave was probably the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon. Murderous intent flashed through Long Chen's eyes when he thought of the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon. However, the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon has probably surpassed the level of the third era and entered the ranks of the ancestral gods of the second era. It won't be easy to deal with it. I'll start with the weakest Sacred Lord in the third cave. Releasing the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing race was a very risky move, but Long Chen was very confident. Putting aside the Sacred Lord in the first cave, Long Chen was confident that they could kill the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon in the second cave if he teamed up with Mo Xiaoling. Xiaoling, get ready. I'll release the Sacred Lord of the Sky-Swallowing race in the third cave. He's definitely stronger than the previous Sacred Lords. He won't be killed so easily like Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Long Chen reminded Mo Xiaoling. Big brother, I understand. This will be a tough battle. I'm ready. Mo Xiaoling replied sullenly. We're ready too. If we're needed at any critical moment, we'll come out immediately. Lingxi and Li Xuanji also spoke from within Long Chen's God Kingdom. To the 2 of them, they wouldn't be of much help in a head-on battle. If they forced their way in, they would only cause trouble. Therefore, they could only appear at critical moments. They might be of use. Okay? Seeing that everyone was ready, Long Chen walked in front of the giant beehive with a solemn expression. A sinister aura radiated from the third cave, indicating the evil nature of the Sacred Lord sealed within. Open. Long Chen dripped the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence onto the barrier of the giant cave. Then, the barrier started to melt under the inheritance blood essence, and a sinister aura surged out from the depths of the giant cave. Today, the dragon blood essence was updated in advance. Happy Christmas and Christmas Eve to everyone. Chapter 3752. When the seal barrier at the entrance of the huge cave was melted by the ancestral dragon's essence blood, Long Chen and the wolf cub were on standby, maintaining their highest vigilance. As a dense evil aura rolled out from the depths of the huge cave, the entire vicinity of the huge beehive seemed to be shrouded by a demonic aura. Then, a giant beast with 12 heads slowly walked out of the huge cave. I didn't think that the inheritor of the ancestral divine dragon would be so stupid as to release me, the Sacred Lord Monster Demon, from the seal. Xueqi, inheritor of the ancestral dragon, do you really think that you 2 puny fellows can kill me, the Sacred Lord Monster Demon? The giant beast with 12 heads slowly walked out of the cave. It wasn't in a hurry to attack, nor was it in a hurry to leave the cave. Instead, it looked at Long Chen and Mo Xiaoling mockingly, as if the 2 of them were prey that couldn't resist at all. The Sacred Lord Monster Demon actually had 12 heads. Long Chen glanced at it and saw that the 12 heads looked like the 12 zodiac beasts. The 12 heads stared at Long Chen, and Long Chen couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. You think you're so great just because you have more heads? Show me what you're capable of. Battle intent surged in Emo Xiaolong's eyes. Compared to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, who could control mental energy, Emo Xiaolong preferred a head-on battle. The feeling of fighting to his heart's content was what he looked forward to the most. Xiaolong, you have to be careful. Don't be careless. Let's do it. Long Chun reminded Emo Xiaolong before charging toward the Sacred Lord Monster Demon. He kept his guard up throughout the entire process. Because he didn't know the Sacred Lord Monster Demon's strength, he didn't use his full strength when he charged over. Emo Xiaolong didn't hesitate either. He followed Long Chun and charged toward the Sacred Lord Monster Demon. 9 types of ancestral fire burned around the sun-devouring demonic wolf's body and almost refined the nearby space. The 9 types of ancestral fire formed a storm of ancestral fire that roared toward the Sacred Lord Monster Demon. Naive. The 12 heads of the demon Holy Lord laughed at the same time. 12 pairs of eyes with different shapes stared at Long Chun and the other half at the sun-devouring demon wolf that Emo Xiaolong had transformed into. The Holy Lord Monster Demon didn't retreat at all when the two of them charged at him. Ancestral Firestorm? As the 3rd Sacred Lord of the Sky-Devouring clan, how could a flame of this level hurt me? The 12 mouths of the holy master monsters and demons let out presumptuous laughter at the same time. Then, one of the heads, the tiger head of the 12 zodiac animals, opened its huge mouth directly towards the storm of ancestral fire. Devourer of flames. The tiger head roared, and a terrifying law of devouring burst out from its mouth, instantly enveloping the 9 ancestral firestorms of the sun-devouring demon wolf. The devouring law that erupted from the tiger's mouth completely devoured the ancestral firestorm formed by the 9 ancestral fires. The power of the ancestral firestorm became a part of Sacred Lord Fiendish Demon. I, the Demon Saint Lord, can devour anything, even if it's spirit, soul, flesh and blood essence, water, fire, wind, earth. I can devour all kinds of powers.
How can you deal with me?
The Sacred Lord of the monster demon race laughed. Long Chun and the sun-devouring demonic wolf's bodies were reflected in his 12 pairs of eyes. Not only did the ancestral fire not hurt him, it even replenished the power of the fire laws in his tiger head avatar, making him even more ferocious. Primordial Strike. Of course, Long Chun wouldn't stop attacking just because of that. He gritted his teeth and held the primordial copper pagoda in his hand. He gathered the power of primordial chaos and creation, and a dazzling light burst from the primordial copper pagoda. The Primordial Strike, a powerful technique that Long Chun combined with the primordial law, landed on the Demon Saint Lord. The terrifying power even completely annihilated the space along the way. Devourer of the Divine Dragon. Among the 12 heads of the Demon Saint Lord, the Divine Dragon had popped out and opened its huge mouth. Immediately, a wave of devouring law surged out. The Devourer of the Divine Dragon is a move that I learned from Demon Saint Lord Devouring Dragon. It's specifically used to devour the power of the 9 great ancestor dragons. Your primordial sacrificial dragon power can't escape its devouring either. The Holy Lord Demon Sovereign laughed ghastly, and the law of devour sprayed out from the head of the divine dragon actually enveloped the light of Primeval's attack, and then it exploded and was swallowed by the head of the divine dragon. Xueqi, great nourishment. If that's all you have, then this Saint Lord won't be polite anymore. The myriad worlds will become food in my stomach. The Demon Saint Lord laughed wildly. The 12 heads shook at the same time, and the Devour Law erupted like a volcano, surging toward Long Chun and the sun-devouring Demon Wolf. Demon Devour. The 12 heads erupted with different Devour Law that instantly drowned Long Chun and the sun-devouring Demon Wolf. The terrifying Devour Law trapped both of them. They couldn't help each other and could only rely on their own strength to break through the Devour Law's encirclement. Primordial Sky Ripping. Without hesitation, Long Chun transformed into the primeval sacrificial dragon. Then, He used the primeval copper pagoda to condense a huge dragon claw. The powerful dragon claw gathered the three laws of chaos, creation, and primordial chaos. It instantly tore apart the devouring laws that filled the sky, allowing Long Chen to escape. Just as he was worrying about Emo Xiaoling, he saw a devouring light pillar on Emo Xiaolong's side suddenly break the opponent's demon's frenzied devouring law. It turned out to be Heavenly Wolf devouring the universe. Almost as fast as Long Chen, Emo Xiaoling also broke through the opponent's demon devour law and reunited with Long Chen. I've underestimated you guys. TSK, but it's more interesting to fight like this. The Demon Saint Lord was a little surprised. He didn't expect his demon devour law to be broken so easily. However, this law was just an ordinary technique for him. He still had many techniques that he hadn't used yet. He had plenty of time to play with Long Chen and the rest. After all, he had been sealed here for countless years. He really needed to exercise his muscles since he had just come out. Come on, let's fight. Let me completely recover the powerful feeling I had before I was sealed. Now, I feel like my body is falling apart. After all, I've been sealed for too long. Holy Lord Monster Demon had a satisfied look on his face. His 12 heads roared at the same time, and the devouring law erupted in the sky again, sweeping toward Long Chen and Emo Xiaoling. Billions of demons roar. From the 12 heads came a terrifying roar that shook the heavens and earth. The roar turned into a terrifying shockwave that suddenly blasted onto Long Chen and Emo Xiaoling. Chapter 3753. The roars of billions of fiendish demons contained boundless, devouring rules. Long Chen and Emo Xiaoling, who were hit by the roars, were sent flying, leaving a mark in the air. This attack?
So fast.
Long Chen was shocked. The roars of billions of fiendish demons came so quickly that he had no time to react. He took the full brunt of the attack head-on. Although it was just a sound wave attack, the devouring laws contained within it still caused Long Chen to suffer heavy injuries. Much of his flesh and blood was devoured. At the same time, most importantly, a portion of the ancestral dragon's essence blood was blasted out by the other party's move and scattered into the primogenitor's world. If the opponent obtained the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence and released another sky-devouring Holy Lord, Long Chen was sure that he and Emo Xiaoling were no match for the opponent. Xiaoling, hold him back. Long Chen gritted his teeth. He had to retrieve the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence or destroy it completely. He could not let the Holy Lord Monster Demon use it. Emo Xiaoling was also heavily injured by the roars of billions of fiendish demons. However, when he heard Long Chen shout, he gritted his teeth and forced himself to stand up to stop the Holy Lord Monster Demon. Tai Chi Life Form Dragon, Life Recovery. Long Chen transformed into the Tai Chi Life Form Dragon. Then, the power of the life rules enveloped him and Emo Xiaoling, allowing Emo Xiaoling to recover to his peak condition. Myriad Realm Furnace, Suppress. Emo Xiaoling saw that the Holy Lord Monster Demon was about to snatch the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence that was scattered in the primogenitor's world. He immediately made a move and used the 9 ancestral fires to construct a myriad realm furnace. It instantly enveloped the Holy Lord Monster Demon and refined him within. Good job. Long Chen did not waste any time. He flew to the vicinity of the primogenitor divine dragon's inheritance blood essence, opened his mouth, and swallowed all of it, resolving the crisis. However, at this moment, both Long Chen and Emo Xiaoling were extremely wary of the monster demon Holy Lord. This guy's attack was too fast. Vaguely, the two of them could see that the other party had mainly used the power of the rabbit head to activate the roar of billions of demons. The 12 heads of the monster demon Holy Lord all had different methods, making it impossible to defend against them. That rabbit's head was not that of an ordinary rabbit either. Instead, it was a pitch-black demon rabbit, a demon rabbit. Its entire body emitted a dense demonic aura. Bull blasts. Although Mo Shaoling used the myriad realm furnace to suppress the monster demon Holy Lord, in the next moment, the gray bullhead suddenly opened its mouth and spewed out a blast of the law of explosion. It collided with the 9 ancestral fires in the myriad realm furnace and instantly shattered the myriad realm furnace. The power of the 9 ancestral fires was also dispersed by the bull blast, turning into scattered flames that spread throughout the primogenitor's world. They could no longer pose a threat to the monster demon Holy Lord. "Don't hold back, kills," Long Chen called out to Mo Shaoling. Taking advantage of the fact that the other party had just broken through the myriad realm furnace, Long Chen directly used the primordial sacrificial refining method. The primordial chaos, and creation laws condensed into a primordial world that completely enveloped the monster demon Holy Lord. "It's useless." The monster demon Holy Lord laughed sinisterly. The 2 giant heads of the dog and horse heads opened their mouths at the same time. Boundless devouring power surged out and actually split the primordial sacrificial refining world into 2 parts. One part was completely devoured by the dog head, while the other was completely devoured by the horse head. The primordial sacrificial refining method actually had no effect on the monster demon Holy Lord. Mo Xiaolong's attack followed closely behind Long Chen's. 10,000 wolves devouring the sky. Countless sun-devouring demonic wolves burned in the void and charged towards the monster demon Holy Lord. Each wolf figure contained the power of an ancestral fire. The countless wolf figures carried boundless ancestral fire and devouring power, and they completely surrounded the monster demon Holy Lord's divine body with 12 heads. Billions of monster demon projections. The monster demon Holy Lord laughed wickedly. The pig head lifted up and roared furiously. Countless white pig head projections appeared beside him and charged towards the sky-devouring wolves. The white pig head projections couldn't withstand a single blow from the sky-devouring wolves and were completely incinerated by the ancestral fire. However, after they were incinerated, the ancestral fire on the sun-devouring wolves was also used up, and they could no longer harm the monster demon Holy Lord's main body. 12 heads, 12 different methods of fighting, impossible to defend against. The strength of this demon Holy Lord definitely far surpassed any of the previous Holy Lords. I almost forgot. There are still 2 monster demon Holy Lords sealed, and one of them is Big Brother. But if Big Brother is released, I won't be able to play with him anymore. The monster demon Holy Lord laughed sinisterly. He sized up Long Chen and Mo Shaoling with 12 pairs of eyes filled with mockery. "Let's attack together. Shaoling, you restrain him." Long Chen yelled and took out his world origin, including the slaughtering blood sword, the primordial bone sword, the primordial bronze pagoda, and the time chain. When Mo Shaoling saw this, the sun-devouring demonic wolf's divine body instantly expanded and pressed down on the monster demon Holy Lord in an absolutely domineering manner. Although the monster demon Holy Lord had the upper hand, he didn't dare to be careless. He could only focus on dealing with Mo Shaoling and fight against the sun-devouring demonic wolf's divine body with the strength of a bullhead. Eternal Primordial Massacre. Long Chen took advantage of this opportunity to successfully merge 4 types of nomological powers, including the primordial and time laws that had been cultivated to the peak. Together with the massacre laws and calamity laws, the 2 swords merged, and a powerful sword light burst out. The Eternal Primordial Massacre contained the power of 4 nomological powers. The destructive power of this move definitely far surpassed the 4 extreme sacred realm that Long Chen used before. It was even several times more powerful. The 4 extreme sacred realm was divided into 4 parts after all. The destructive power of each part was not at its peak. But now, there was only 1 sword light of the Eternal Primordial Massacre calamity. It condensed the power of the 4 nomological forces into one and slashed at the 12 heads of the monster demon lord at an extremely fast speed. At this moment, the monster demon Holy Lord had just used the brute force of the divine bullhead to force the sun-devouring demonic wolf's divine body back. But then, Long Chen's eternal primordial massacre arrived.
Puffed, puffed, puffed.
After a few sounds, the eternal primordial massacre slashed 1,000,000,000,000 swords on the monster demon Holy Lord's body and directly cut it into countless pieces. Chapter 3754. In his rage, Long Chen merged the 4 ancestral dragons' nomological laws and used the world source of the 4 ancestral dragons as the foundation to form the eternal primordial massacre sword light, which instantly sliced the Holy Lord's divine body into countless pieces and scattered them across the entire primogenita world. Mo Shaoling had just been pushed away by the Holy Lord's bull head, and the sun-devouring monstrous wolf's divine body was badly mutilated. However, it was effective for him to stall the Holy Lord, which allowed Long Chen to find an opportunity to slice the Holy Lord into countless pieces. Finally, he's dead. Mo Shaoling couldn't help but laugh. He felt that this Holy Lord monster demon was indeed stronger than the other Holy Lords. If it wasn't for Long Chen's fusion of 4 types of rules, he wouldn't have been able to deal with this guy. Do you think it's over? You're too naive. Hee hee. Just as the two heaved a sigh of relief, 12 voices suddenly rang out from various parts of the primogenitum world, each with a sinister smile. It was the Holy Lord's voice. Immediately after, under the two's nervous and astonished gazes, the Holy Lord's divine body that had been sliced into countless pieces actually condensed in 12 different places. The giant beast that condensed in each place only had 1 head, but the Holy Lord now had 12 giant beast bodies, which were equivalent to his 12 clones. That move of yours just now loosened my muscles. This is my strongest form. After all, it's very troublesome to have 12 heads at the same time. There are many restraints on each other, which makes it difficult for me to unleash my full strength. The Holy Lord's sinister voice entered Long Chen and Mo Xiaolong's ears, causing their expressions to turn even more solemn. The two of them didn't expect that this sacred Lord monster demon wasn't dead yet after being cut into countless pieces, and it was even able to form 12 clones. This was shocking. That's right, the key is the head. I've just chopped off his divine body, but I've only chopped off his body, not his head. It seems that only by chopping off the head of the monstrous demon Holy Lord can I completely annihilate his soul. Only then can I truly kill him. Long Chen immediately understood, because he knew very well that there was no such thing as an immortal body in this world. Facing the 12 clones of the demon Holy Lord, Long Chen immediately came up with a countermeasure, which was to break through 1 by 1 and smash all 12 heads. Unfortunately, the Holy Lord of the monster demons wouldn't give him that chance so easily. Rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, and snake. The 6 heads formed 6 clones and surrounded Long Chen. The other 6 clones surrounded the injured sun-devouring direwolf. 12 doppelgangers had actually separated Long Chen and Mo Shaoling completely. Billions of gods and demons roar. Devour of the divine dragon. The first to attack Long Chen were the rabbit-headed doppelganger and the dragon-headed doppelganger. Long Chen had already experienced the strength of these 2 heads of the demon Holy Lord. Moreover, since they had finally separated and become individual bodies, the power of their attacks was even stronger than before. The billions of gods and demons roared the fastest. The shockwave from the roars of the gods and demons instantly bombarded Long Chen's body. However, Long Chen was prepared this time. The ultimate hourglass of destiny appeared in the void beside him and directly absorbed the shockwave from the roars of the gods and demons into the hourglass. Once the hourglass was completely absorbed, the shockwave from the roars of the gods and demons would completely dissipate from this world. Next was the devour of the divine dragon, which came from the head doppelgangers of the divine dragon. It contained various powers that could restrain the divine dragon, which troubled Long Chen the most. He didn't feel anything when he killed Holy Lord Devouring Dragon previously. After all, Holy Lord Devouring Dragon had already been sealed by Mo Shaoling with the 9 Flames Refining Sun seal at that time. However, the devourer of the divine dragon made it extremely difficult for Long Chen to deal with it now. No matter what techniques Long Chen used, they would be restrained by the devour of the divine dragon. Lingxi, it's up to you to deal with the dragon head. At the very least, you have to hold it back. Long Chen said in a low voice. He finally called out Lingxi from the Holy Kingdom. Under such circumstances, the dragon head's power was severely restrained by the divine dragon. Moreover, it was 1 against 6. Long Chen couldn't hold on any longer, so he had to call out Lingxi. Lingxi's current strength was almost on par with the ancestral gods of the Third Era. It shouldn't be too much of a problem for her to hold off one dragon head temporarily. However, Long Chen had to deal with the other 5 head doppelgangers as soon as possible. Otherwise, Lingxi wouldn't be able to hold on any longer. It should be known that the 12 head doppelgangers of Holy Lord Fiendish Demon were almost at the level of the ancestral dragon of the Second Era. Even if Long Chen were to deal with them alone, he would have to use all his strength to kill them, let alone Lingxi. It would be extremely dangerous to deal with the dragon head doppelgangers. However, Lingxi knew the predicament Long Chen was facing. She didn't decline and nodded directly. She attacked with a solemn expression. Purifying Immortal King Sword. Desireless, immeasurable sword. Immovable world curse. Lingxi had just appeared in Long Chen's holy kingdom when she consecutively executed 3 moves. 2 rays of sword light swept across, and the immovable world curse descended on the devouring rule of the divine dragon. The 3 moves that she had prepared for a long time finally blocked the attack of the dragon head doppelganger. The power of the dragon head doppelganger was similar to that of Holy Lord Devouring Dragon. Although it could restrain the power of the divine dragon, it didn't have such a strong restraining effect on Lingxi's power. Therefore, Lingxi was much more suitable to deal with the dragon head doppelganger than Long Chen. However, apart from the dragon head doppelganger, there were still 5 head doppelgangers left. It was still very difficult for Long Chen to deal with them alone. What worried Long Chen the most was Mo Xiaolong's side. There were also 6 head doppelgangers, but Mo Xiaolang was supporting them alone. Although Mo Xiaolong's power wouldn't be restrained by Holy Lord Fiendish Demons, the absolute power of the 6 head doppelgangers alone was enough to kill Mo Xiaolang. Therefore, Long Chen knew that the key to winning this battle was back to him. He had to get rid of the 5 head doppelgangers as soon as possible so that he could help Lingxi and Xiaolang as soon as possible. There's still a helper, but it's a pity that this helper is too weak. He can only be my bait. When the Holy Lord Fiendish Demon saw Lingxi appear, the dragon head doppelganger immediately laughed sinisterly and didn't take Lingxi seriously at all. The rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, snake. The 5 head doppelgangers also launched a new round of attacks on Long Chen at this time. Among them, the rabbit head doppelganger's attack was the fastest. A devouring rule tornado instantly enveloped Long Chen and surrounded him. Chapter 37:55. Faced with the devouring rule tornado, Long Chen's expression was solemn as he yelled, "Break." At this time, the opponent didn't have a dragon head clone, so Long Chen had nothing to worry about. He could use all kinds of ancestral dragon laws at will, so it wasn't impossible for him to resist the siege of the opponent's 5 head clones. Chaotic Universe Disintegration. Long Chen activated the Primordial Copper Pagoda and used the laws of primordial chaos to construct a chaos verse that enveloped the devouring law tornado. Then, the entire chaos verse disintegrated, disintegrating the devouring law tornado as well. What followed next was the rat-headed clone's poison rule attack. It was a poisonous mist storm that contained powerful devouring and corroding rules. If it came into contact with Long Chen's body, it would definitely corrode his divine body into nothingness. Primordial World Prison. It was still one of the primordial laws. The primordial laws condensed into billions of world prisons, absorbing the poisonous mist storm into these billions of world prisons, which were refined and destroyed by the primordial laws. On the other side was the divine cow-devouring charge of the barbarian bullhead clone. The barbarian bullhead clone was the Holy Lord's avatar with the strongest impact. This divine cow-devouring charge was definitely enough to smash Long Chen into pieces. Also, the Overlord Tiger Devouring Impact of the Tiger Head clone contained the King's Devouring Law. Before devouring, it could first suppress the opponent with the Overlord's aura and shake the opponent's soul. Finally, the snake-headed doppelganger quietly released the 10,000 snake shadows. Countless snake shadows surged towards Long Chun from the dark. Before he knew it, they had already surrounded him. Every snake shadow wanted to burrow into Long Chen's body and devour all of his blood essence. The shadow of 10,000 snakes contained the power to devour the essence of flesh and blood, similar to Holy Lord Xueqi. 3 Extremes Eternal Sword. Long Chun faced the attacks of the opponent's 3 head clones at the same time. The Primordial Copper Pagoda and the Time Chain appeared respectively. Among them, the Primordial Copper Pagoda condensed 3 nomological sword lights, each containing the primordial laws, chaos laws, and creation laws. On the Time Chain, there was an eternal aura that seemed to turn time into eternity. In an instant, it fused with the 3 sword lights of the primeval law. This was the pinnacle swordsmanship that Long Chun had ever displayed. It combined the strongest void dragon and the primeval sacrificial dragon. 3 sword lights formed the 3 Extremes Eternal Sword, which was used to deal with the opponent's 3-headed avatars. The primordial extreme Heaven Sword beam instantly exploded, shattering the divine bull devouring impact that the bullhead avatar cast. The sword beam slashed down, shattering the impact and dissipating in the primogenitor's world. The Extreme Sky Creation Sword Light resisted the Overlord Tiger Devourer's soul pressure with peerless pressure. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the space. This crack completely obliterated the Overlord Tiger Devourer's devouring rule. Chaotic Extreme Sky Sword Light. Long Chun looked at the last ray of sword light in the 3 Extremes Eternal Sword. With unparalleled speed, in the eternally still river of time, it directly slashed every single snake shadow into ashes, completely disappearing from the primogenitor's world. What? The 5-head avatars of the Monster Lord were shocked by Long Chun's move. The 5-head avatars besieged Long Chun at the same time, but still couldn't take down Long Chun. This surprised the Monster Lord. However, at this moment, although Long Chun had destroyed the 5-head avatar's joint attack, Mo Shaoling on the other side couldn't hold on any longer. The horse, goat, monkey, chicken, dog, and pig heads of the 6 zodiac beasts besieged the Sun Devourer Fiend Wolf. The devouring rule covered the entire area, completely suppressing the Sun Devourer Fiend Wolf. The Sun Devourer Fiend Wolf was already injured, and now it was even more severely injured. Its entire body was covered in blood and flesh. Mo Shaoling was still fighting with a trace of conviction. He knew that if he fell, the 6-head avatars would reach Long Chun's side. Long Chun definitely wouldn't be able to hold on. Therefore, no matter what, Mo Shaoling had to resist the attacks of the 6-head avatars. However, although Mo Shaoling's will was firm, his Sun Devourer Fiend Wolf's divine body couldn't hold on any longer. He would soon be completely annihilated. I can't watch Shaoling die in front of me again. Long Chun's anger rose and burned. He recalled the scene of Mo Shaoling self-detonating his divine body. He definitely wouldn't let this happen again. 3 Extremes Eternal Sword. Long Chun held the Primordial Copper Pagoda in his hand and time chains wrapped around his body. The strongest time and primordial rules were linked again. 3 rays of Extreme Sky Sword Chi burst out and attacked the Holy Lord Fiend Demon's Tiger Head Avatar. As the 3 rays of Extreme Sky Sword Chi were integrated with the strongest time rules, the Holy Lord Fiend Demon's Tiger Head Avatar couldn't react in time, and the 3 rays of Extreme Sky Sword Chi pierced through its head. The 3 rays of Extreme Sky Sword Chi pierced the Tiger Head Avatar and were instantly annihilated under the refinement of the 3 primordial rules. The strongest primordial sacrificial dragon and the strongest void cosmic dragon fused with the 2 divine dragon rules to unleash an incomparably terrifying attack that directly destroyed one of the Holy Lord Fiend Demon's head avatar. At this moment, time seemed to become an eternity. Before the Holy Lord Fiend Demon's other head avatar could react, Long Chen launched another attack. It was the same Three Extremes Eternal Sword. 3 rays of Extreme Sky Sword Chi instantly shattered the bull head avatar. The Barbarian Bull's head clone was the strongest, but facing the 3 Extreme Sky Sword lights, it couldn't resist at all. The Barbarian Bull's head was instantly shattered by the 3 Extreme Sky Sword lights, and the Barbarian Bull's head clone disappeared from the primogenitor world. In just an instant, Long Chen was exhausted after killing 2 of the Holy Lord Fiend Demon's head avatars. He paused for a moment, and it was this pause that made the remaining head avatars of the Holy Lord Fiend Demon infuriated. The destruction of 2 head avatars was a serious injury that the Holy Lord Fiend Demon couldn't recover from. Naturally, he was furious. The other 6 head avatars directly attacked Mo Shaoling. Endless devouring power condensed into a devouring wave, wanting to devour Mo Xiaolong's sun-devouring demonic wolf divine body. 3 Extremes Eternal Sword. Long Chen flew into a rage when he saw this. He didn't hold back at all. 3 rays of Extreme Sky Sword Chi slashed at the remaining rat-headed, snake-headed, and rabbit-headed avatars almost at the same time. The 3 rays of Extreme Sky Sword Chi arrived in an instant under the ultimate eternal time law, completely shattering the heads on the 3 avatars. On Long Chen's side, 5 of the Holy Lord Fiend Demon's head avatars were destroyed one after another. It could be said that the Holy Lord Fiend Demon had suffered a serious injury. But it was also at this moment that the other 6 heads of the Holy Lord Fiend Demon finally devoured the entire sun-devouring demonic wolf. The 6 head avatars once again merged into one. This was the 2nd volume of the Sky-Devouring Record. I recommend everyone to read it. The Immortal Dao story begins. Chapter 3756. Not only was Mo Xiaoling in danger, but Lingxi was also in danger. Although the Sacred Lord Monster Demon's dragon head clone could not restrain Lingxi's power, Lingxi's cultivation was not high enough, so it was still very difficult for her to fight against it. She was in a precarious situation now. If she was not careful, she would be devoured by the dragon head clone. Long Chen could not take care of both sides at the same time. He gritted his teeth and charged at the dragon head clone first. Once again, he overdrafted his strength and executed the 3 Extremes Eternal Sword. 3 rays of Extreme Sky Sword Light tore through the void and instantly killed the dragon head clone. Then, Long Chen did not stop and sent Lingxi back to the Holy Kingdom so that she could rest well. In just a short period of time, Mo Xiaolong's sun-devouring demonic wolf divine body had been devoured by the Sacred Lord Monster Demon. The other 6 heads merged into one and turned into a 6-headed fiendish demon. Its imposing aura suppressed the entire place. Long Chen, how dare you kill my 6 clones?
How bold of you!
You will be devoured by me just like this sun-devouring demonic wolf and never see the light of day again. The 6 heads of the Sacred Lord Monster Demon shouted at the same time. An imposing aura swept across the entire place, and an evil and terrifying suppressive force made Long Chen's body unable to move. Long Chen's strength was slightly overdraft, but he knew that he could not fall now. The Sacred Lord Monster Demon still had 6 heads left, and he had to destroy them all. Moreover, he had to destroy them all as soon as possible. Otherwise, if Mo Xiaoling was devoured by the Sacred Lord Monster Demon, he would not be able to last long before he was completely refined. Long Chen would never allow that to happen. 3 Extremes? Eternal Sword. Long Chen once again executed the strongest law he could execute. 3 Extreme Sky Sword Lights, each imbued with the power of the primordial chaos, creation and primordial chaos laws, merged with eternal time laws, and transformed into 3 streaks of dazzling light that slashed at the 6-headed fiendish demon that the Holy Lord Monster Lord had transformed into. I have to admit that the might of this move of yours, which combines the laws of the 2nd and 3rd ancestral dragon, is shocking. Unfortunately, since you're prepared, do you think you can still annihilate me with this move? The Holy Lord Monster Demon cackled in disdain. The remaining 6 heads opened their mouths at the same time, and 6 streams of devouring law currents spewed out from their mouths. Devour. Sacred lords of the monster demon race had 6 heads as a group, and they could use the law of devouring. The 6 streams of devouring air could strengthen each other and create destructive power. Although Long Chun had destroyed 6 of his clones, he could still use the law of devouring. The 6 streams of devouring law currents pierced through the void, and each headed for Long Chun's 3 extremes eternal sword. 2 streams of devouring air currents clashed against 1 extreme sky sword light, and a terrifying clash of forces destroyed the surrounding space. Long Chun's strongest law, the 3 extremes eternal sword, was easily destroyed by the Holy Lord monster Demon's Devour. This made Long Chun realize that his opponent had seen through the 3 extremes eternal sword, and it would not have any effect even if he used it more times. Damn it! Long Chun glared at the 6 heads of the Holy Lord monster demon. Seeing the sneers on their faces, the anger in his heart rose again. This Holy Lord of the Sky-Devouring clan, the Holy Lord of the monster demon race, had devoured all worlds and was an unredeemable being. How could he be so arrogant? However, there was nothing Long Chun could do against the remaining 6-headed demon. Even the 3 extremes eternal swords had lost their effectiveness. For the time being, he was unable to use any other nomological laws. After all, none of his other moves could compare to the 3 extremes eternal swords in terms of destructive power. If the extreme sky sword light was ineffective against the 6-headed demon, then the other laws would be the same. What's wrong, inheritor of the ancestral dragon? Are you powerless? Are you desperate? Don't worry. When you die, I will devour all your friends and family into my stomach to keep you company. Hee hee. The 6-headed demon Holy Lord laughed maniacally, and the devouring laws around his body surged instantly, turning into a devouring wave that surged towards Long Chun. Space and time were completely crushed along the way, and they were assimilated into the devouring wave, which swept towards Long Chun together. Devouring Demon World. This devouring law was the strongest devouring law that Long Chun had ever seen. It was much stronger than the devouring laws that the Holy Lords of the Sky-Devouring clan had used before. Because as the demon devourer the heaven and earth rolled over, it was also constantly devouring all kinds of energy around it, including space and time. By the time it neared Long Chun, it was already twice as strong as it was when it was first used. I have to break this law as soon as possible. Otherwise, no matter how strong an existence is, it might be completely devoured by this move. Faced with the devouring law that was surging like a wave, Long Chun's expression was extremely solemn. He held the primordial copper pagoda in his hand, and the time chains that wrapped around his body began to tremble. At this time, he could not care less about the fusion of laws that he had yet to master. He could only display the powerful laws that he was still comprehending. It was the fusion of the primordial laws, time laws, and karma laws. It had an additional karma law than the 3 extremes eternal sword, and it was much more difficult to fuse them together. However, if the fusion was successful, its power would also be much greater. This law was something that Long Chun had never tried before, and he named it primordial regression. Under the fusion of the karma laws and the integration of time, everything would return to the primordial, and everything would return to the primordial and chaos. Primordial regression. Under the terrifying suppression of the 6-headed demon's powerful devouring law and the demons devouring heaven and earth, and also because he was worried about Mo Shaoling, Long Chun unleashed his unprecedented potential and succeeded in his attempt. The rule of primeval normalization instantly turned into 3 primeval light pillars and shot out from the primeval bronze pagoda. 2 of the light pillars collided with the devouring wave of the demonic devouring heaven and earth and exploded it not far away. The last light pillar shattered the void, passed through the demons devouring heaven and earth and the previous 2 light pillars, and directly blasted the divine body of the 6-headed demon's holy lord. The 6 heads of the 6-headed demon originally maintained their arrogant and disdainful expressions. However, When his divine body was penetrated by the light pillar of the primordial regression law, the expressions of the six heads changed drastically. Under the influence of the karma laws and the time laws, everything would return to the primordial and become a part of chaos, creation, and primordial chaos. The divine body of the six-headed demon Holy Lord was completely shattered by the light pillar of the primordial regression law and returned to the primordial. The divine body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf finally broke free from the six-headed demon Holy Lord's body, and the remaining power of the six-headed demon Holy Lord dispersed into the entire primogenitor's world. This was the power that belonged to the myriad worlds, and it could help the myriad worlds recover. Chapter 3757. In the end, Holy Lord Fiendish Demon was still killed by Long Chun. He used the primordial unity law to fuse the three laws together to completely shatter him. The remaining six heads of Holy Lord Fiendish Demon did not even have the chance to scream before they were completely shattered into the three primordial unity laws and scattered throughout the primogenitor's world. Long Chun was delighted that the sun-devouring direwolf had escaped from Holy Lord Fiendish Demon's stomach. Xiaoling, how do you feel? Long Chun immediately went forward, but he soon realized something was wrong. Mo Xiaoling seemed to have lost consciousness. The sun-devouring direwolf's divine body was completely unconscious. Long Chun's expression changed slightly. He called out to Mo Xiaoling a few more times, but there was no response. After careful observation, Long Chun realized that there were three fiendish demon law seals in the sun-devouring direwolf's divine body. The three fiendish demon auras that belonged to Holy Lord Fiendish Demon wandered in the sun-devouring direwolf's divine body and sealed Mo Xiaolong's consciousness at the same time. He could not wake up. Three fiendish demons? Long Chun was stumped by the situation and fell into deep thought. He had never seen such a situation before. Mo Xiaoling had been devoured by Holy Lord Fiendish Demon before, but nothing had happened after Long Chun had rescued him. He had not expected Holy Lord Fiendish Demon's devouring law to be so strong. He had only devoured Mo Xiaoling and sealed him with the three fiendish demon auras. Mo Xiaoling could not wake up, and Long Chun could not continue to break the seal to deal with the next Holy Lord of Sky-devouring clan. He had to think of a way to solve Mo Xiaolong's problem first. Long Chun first used the many ancestral dragon laws he grasped to try to remove the three fiendish demonic auras in Mo Xiaolong's body. However, he soon realized that the life law, time law, or any other law could do nothing to the three fiendish demonic auras. The three fiends of the monster demon was a seal left behind by the sacred lord of the monster demon before his death. It contained the essence of the devouring law of the monster demon's sacred lord and was extremely stubborn. Long Chun couldn't get rid of it no matter what he did. As the saying goes, the one who started the trouble is the one who started it. The monster demon triad is the power of the monster demon Holy Lord, and Xiaoling's body is that of the sky-devouring clan. Why don't we let him devour the power of the monster demon Holy Lord? In Long Chun's divine kingdom, Li Xuanji, Lingxi, and Kitten discussed for a while and proposed a possible solution for Long Chun. That makes sense. When Long Chun heard that, he felt that this solution might be effective, so he nodded. However, he was still slightly conflicted. After all, the power of the monster demon Holy Lord was the power of the myriad worlds. If it returned to the myriad worlds, it could speed up the recovery of the myriad worlds, and the dragon sacrificial continent could also recover to the scale before the epoch. If this power was devoured by Mo Xiaoling, the recovery of the myriad worlds might have to wait for a period of time. Of course, compared to saving Mo Xiaoling, waiting a few more days wouldn't make too much of a difference. If the power of the monster demon Holy Lord could eliminate the three fiends of the monster demon triad in Mo Xiaolong's body, then it would be worth it to devour the power. After all, Long Chun definitely wouldn't be able to accept that Mo Xiaoling would be in a coma in the future. No matter what, he had to save Mo Xiaoling. If it wasn't for Mo Xiaoling holding back the six heads of the monster demon Holy Lord, Long Chun wouldn't have been able to defeat the monster demon Holy Lord in the end. Therefore, in the process of dealing with the sky-swallowing clan's holy lord, Mo Xiaolong's role was still hard to ignore. Moreover, Mo Xiaoling was Long Chen's brother. When his brother was in trouble, it was impossible for him not to save him. I'll gather the power of the monster demon Holy Lord first. Long Chen then used the laws to gather the power of the monster demon Holy Lord that was scattered all over the primogenitor world and fused it into a pitch-black sphere. Now that Mo Xiaoling had lost consciousness, the sun-devouring fiend wolf's instinct of the sky-swallowing clan was still there. Long Chen only needed to send the monster demon Holy Lord's power into the sun-devouring fiend wolf's mouth, and it would naturally swallow it. The power of the monster demon Holy Lord was sent into the sun-devouring fiend wolf's mouth by Long Chen. Then, the sun-devouring fiend wolf instinctively swallowed it. The power of the monster demon Holy Lord started to spread in the sun-devouring fiend wolf's body. This power was extremely strong and even surpassed Mo Xiaolong's own power. When the power of the monster demon Holy Lord started to fuse with the sun-devouring fiend wolf's divine body, the three fiendish demonic auras in its body dissipated and turned into the power of the monster demon Holy Lord that was swallowed by the sun-devouring fiend wolf. At this moment, Mo Xiaoling finally woke up. "Big brother, what happened to me?" Mo Xiaoling opened his eyes. The sun-devouring fiend wolf's divine body was surrounded by a dense fiendish aura. He felt the power in his body skyrocketing as though he had swallowed some powerful power. Long Chen then told Mo Xiaoling what happened. When Mo Xiaoling heard that Long Chen had killed the monster demon Holy Lord, he was naturally delighted. However, he was still in pain. The power of the monster demon Holy Lord was far stronger than he had imagined. Now that he had swallowed it all, the process was irreversible. The power of the monster demon Holy Lord surpassed Mo Xiaolong's own power. Therefore, his body felt like it was about to explode. However, this was of course just an illusion. All the power of the monster demon Holy Lord was quickly swallowed by Mo Xiaoling and turned into his own power. At this moment, Mo Xiaolong's cultivation once again surpassed Long Chen's and became stronger than Long Chen's. After all, he was not weak to begin with. Now that he had merged with the power of the monster demon Holy Lord, it was inevitable that he would surpass Long Chen. Long Chen was delighted. With Mo Xiaoling becoming stronger, they had a greater chance of killing the remaining two sky-devouring clan Holy Lords. However, at this moment, something unexpected happened again. The bright eyes of the sun-devouring fiend wolf suddenly turned sinister. The fiendish aura encircled its body, and there was a trace of the monster demon Holy Lord's aura. All the power of the monster demon Holy Lord was merged with the remaining will of the monster demon Holy Lord. Although this will could not control Mo Xiaoling, it was enough to make Mo Xiaoling lose control of himself. The monster demon Holy Lord was bloodthirsty. Therefore, once Mo Xiaoling lost control of his mind, he would subconsciously want to kill. When he saw Long Chen, he even forgot who Long Chen was. He opened his mouth and the storm formed by the 9 ancestral fires roared out and enveloped Long Chen. Long Chen's expression changed and he retreated immediately. He could not fight Mo Xiaoling. However, at this moment, Mo Xiaoling was stronger than him. He could only retreat temporarily. What should I do? Xiaoling has lost control of himself. Long Chen was burning with anxiety. This was something he hadn't expected before Mo Xiaoling devoured the Holy Master Monster Demon's power. After all, the Holy Master Monster Demon's power was stronger than Mo Xiaolong's. It wasn't surprising that this happened. Sky-devouring records had been published for more than 20 days and had 8 million hits. It was expected to break 10 million soon. Currently, it was #1 on the new books, collections, member hits, and hot comments. Thank you, everyone. Chapter 3758. Long Chen was anxious, but there was nothing he could do to help Mo Xiaoling regain control of his body. He retreated far away and observed Mo Xiaoling. If I brought Xueqi on here, I could try and wake Xiaoling up with her. But I'm alone now. It's too difficult to wake him up. Moreover, Xiaoling is stronger than me now. Long Chen knew that the situation was more difficult now. Fortunately, after Mo Xiaoling lost his mind, he did not chase after Long Chen to attack. Instead, after Long Chen retreated, he wobbled and left the primogenitor's world. The sun-devouring direwolf seemed to have gone mad. It leaped towards the other parts of the primogenitor's world. Everywhere it went, time and space were disrupted. Long Chen did not chase after it because there was no point in chasing after it now. So, he stayed where he was and prepared to analyze the situation in the 10,000 worlds and the primogenitor's world. Although Mo Xiaoling was temporarily out of control, the monster demon Holy Lord was already killed. There were only 2 sky-swallowing clan Holy Lords left. Among them, the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon should be the weaker one. Of course, even if the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was weaker than the other sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord, it was still much stronger than Long Chen or Mo Xiaoling. Long Chen sorted out his thoughts and roughly arranged everyone's strength in order. Without a doubt, the mysterious first Holy Lord of the Sky-Swallowing clan was the strongest. Following him should be the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, the traitor of the ancestor divine dragon. After the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, it should be Mo Xiaoling who had devoured the monster demon Holy Lord's power. Next would be Long Chen. This was the ranking of the 4 strongest. In order to restore peace to the 10,000 worlds, he had to kill the remaining 2 sky-swallowing clan Holy Lords. It's a pity that with my current strength, I won't be a match for either the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon or the first Holy Lord. My only chance is to join forces with Mo Xiaoling. Perhaps I'll have a chance of winning, but there's not much guarantee. If we don't have absolute confidence, we can't let them out and give them any chance to take advantage of us. Long Chen carefully analyzed the current situation. He was very clear that the current breakthrough was not mainly in Mo Xiaoling, but in the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon. After all, even if Mo Xiaoling regained his consciousness, it was still unknown whether he and Long Chen could defeat the chaotic sky-devouring dragon together. However, if Long Chen could obtain the first ancestral dragon's inheritance, then dealing with a chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon would not be a problem. At the very least, he would be able to fight against the sky-swallowing clan's first sacred lord. It was a pity that Long Chen did not have any information about the first ancestral dragon. The only clue was the dragon jade seal on him. However, the dragon jade seal had not responded to Long Chen's call. The first ancestral dragon's inheritance was not something that Long Chen could obtain just because he wanted to. In fact, if he did not have a certain amount of luck, it was almost impossible for him to obtain it. Fortunately, there's still plenty of time. The Sky-Swallowing clan's first Holy Lord and the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon will definitely not be able to break out of the ancestral dragon seal in a short period of time. Otherwise, they would have come out long ago. I have enough time to slowly search for the first ancestral dragon's inheritance. Of course, the most important thing now is to think of a way to let Mo Xiaoling regain consciousness. Long Chen was very clear about what he should do now. However, it was a pity that he had not thought of any useful ideas for Mo Xiaoling's condition. Should he go back to the infinite worlds and call Xueqi over to try and awaken Mo Xiaoling? Long Chen thought about it and realized that it was not impossible. The key was that Mo Xiaoling's current situation was different from before. Previously, Mo Xiaoling was being controlled by Holy Lord Soul Devourer. His consciousness was being suppressed deep within his soul. It was only when Xueqi and Long Chen called out to him that his consciousness was awakened. However, Mo Xiaoling's consciousness was being affected by Holy Lord Monster Demon's remnant consciousness. His consciousness was a little muddled. The situation was different. It was impossible to predict whether he could be awakened. Moreover, Mo Xiaoling was stronger than Long Chen. If Long Chen took the initiative and Mo Xiaoling did not regain consciousness, it would be a very dangerous situation for both Long Chen and Xueqi. He had to think of a better way before he could take action. Long Chen thought to himself. He pondered in the ancestor dragon's lair near the huge beehive. He looked at the infinite worlds through the world passage opened by the primordial copper pagoda. He saw that the infinite worlds were peaceful. Auspicious clouds enveloped the infinite worlds. Its scope was expanding and recovering. It had almost reached half of the standard before the epoch. The entire infinite worlds had recovered by half. If I could return to the infinite worlds with the power of Holy Lord Monster Demon, I'm afraid that the infinite worlds would have recovered by 60 to 70%. However, given Mo Xiaolong's situation at that time, if he didn't devour the power of Holy Lord Monster Demon, he would definitely be tortured by the three evils Monster Demon. Long Chen knew that it was a dilemma. He could only make that choice and save Mo Xiaoling. However, he didn't expect that Mo Xiaoling would encounter such a situation after absorbing the power of Holy Lord Monster Demon. Long Chen pondered quietly. He wanted to think of a way to break out of the current predicament. It didn't matter if it was related to the first ancestral dragon or to awaken Mo Xiaoling. However, before he could think of anything useful, an eerie laughter came from the lair of the ancestral dragon nearby. The source of the laughter happened to be the second ancestral dragon lair opposite Long Chen. According to Long Chen's guess, the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, the traitor of the ancestor dragon, should be sealed there. Upon hearing the eerie laughter, Long Chen immediately opened his eyes and looked toward the second ancestral dragon lair. A trace of hatred and murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Chaotic heaven-devouring dragon? What are you laughing at? It must feel terrible to be sealed forever. Long Chen said coldly. Sealed forever? Not necessarily. The cold and indifferent voice of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was heard. Do you really think this seal can seal me forever? You must be guessing the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon now. Unfortunately, you will never get it because I am the first ancestral dragon. You are the first ancestral dragon. Ridiculous. Long Chen naturally didn't believe what the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was saying and immediately scolded it. If you don't believe me, take a look at this. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon's words were cold and eerie, without a trace of emotion. Chapter 3759. Long Chen was bewildered when he heard what the Chaos Sky-Devouring Dragon said. Was the Chaos Sky-Devouring Dragon the first ancestral dragon? Long Chen would never believe such a thing. However, he clearly saw a familiar item appear in front of a huge black beast in the second ancestral dragon cave. It was a white dragon jade. Apart from its color, the white dragon jade was exactly the same as the black dragon jade on Long Chen's body. Of course, the black dragon jade had already turned into a dragon jade seal. However, it was obvious that the Chaos Sky-Devouring Dragon was displaying a white dragon jade. Long Chen would never believe that it had nothing to do with the first ancestral dragon. You might not believe it, but I devoured the first ancestral dragon. After devouring it, I obtained this white dragon jade, which is the accumulation of the first ancestral dragon's power essence. Now, I'm only waiting for the white dragon jade to be completely digested. Once I devour the white dragon jade and digest its power, I'll be able to break the seal. That day won't be far away. The Chaos Sky-Devouring Dragon's cold voice rang out again and entered Long Chen's ears. He could not help but grit his teeth. The white dragon jade was definitely related to the first ancestral dragon. Long Chen was certain. As for whether the Chaos Sky-Devouring Dragon's words were true or not, he had no way of determining. However, he would rather believe that it was false. If you devoured the first ancestral dragon, then who sealed the Sky-Devouring clan's holy lords in this place? Long Chen laughed coldly. He was shocked, but he did not show it. Instead, he retorted coldly. What's the point of saying so much to you? The Chaos Sky-Devouring Dragon's cold voice rang out again. If you want to obtain the first ancestral dragon's inheritance, there's only one way, and that is to let me out and take the white dragon jade. Of course, you can choose not to believe me. In any case, it won't be long before I completely absorb the white dragon jade. At that time, this seal barrier won't be able to trap me. As he said that, the white dragon jade in the second ancestral dragon cave continued to emit the power of the ancestral dragon. It was transmitted to Long Chen's senses, causing his soul to throb. That was definitely the aura of the first ancestral dragon. However, it was impossible for Long Chen to release the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon now because he felt that he was no match for the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon. If the primal chaos heaven-devouring dragon were to come out, it would definitely be able to defeat Long Chen and bring disaster to the myriad worlds. Long Chen could not take this risk. Let you out?
Dream on.
You can slowly wait in the seal. You said that you can come out on your own. Why don't you try leaving the seal barrier? Long Chen sneered and ignored the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. Instead, he lowered his head and began to ponder. The problems that were troubling Long Chen now were mainly the problem of Mo Shaoling being affected by the remnant consciousness of the Holy Lord monsters and the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon. As for what the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon had said, 9 out of 10 of it was probably false and could not be trusted. Long Chen continued to observe the situation in the second ancestral dragon cave in front of him. He was constantly on guard against the actions of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon and had no intention of releasing it. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon did not continue to say too much to Long Chen. Instead, it carried out its own actions in the second ancestral dragon cave. Time passed bit by bit in the stalemate. Long Chen continued to ponder, but he still could not think of a good way to awaken Mo Shaoling or find the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon. However, the situation in the second ancestral dragon cave soon attracted Long Chen's attention. The white dragon jade in front of the huge figure of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was continuously dissipating and disintegrating as the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon devoured it. The power in the white dragon jade seemed to be constantly being devoured and absorbed by the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. Will it really be able to break the barrier of the seal after it absorbs the white dragon jade? Long Chen's expression changed slightly as he could not help but wonder. He was very doubtful of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon's words. However, he had to consider the truth of the situation. If what the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon said was true, the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon would definitely come out when the power of the white dragon jade was completely absorbed. How powerful would the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon be after absorbing the power of the white dragon jade? If the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was lying to Long Chen, wouldn't it be able to break the barrier of the seal? However, the power in the white dragon jade was indeed the power of the first ancestral dragon. It was exactly the same as the power on the dragon jade Dao seal. Long Chen began to hesitate. Should he release the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon? No matter what, I have to give it a try. There's no other way now. Anyway, it's a risk. I can only choose a smaller risk to take. Long Chen made a decision very quickly. Now that he had released the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, he would be facing a weaker chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. Furthermore, the white dragon jade still contained the power of the first ancestral dragon. If Long Chen obtained it, he might be able to touch the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon. If he did not release it now, and what it said was true, then Long Chen would have to face an even stronger chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. Moreover, there would still be no turning point between Mo Shaoling and the first ancestral dragon. In that case, Long Chen's chances of winning would be even slimmer. After comparing the two options, Long Chen finally made a decision. He would release the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. This was a decision he had to make because he really could not let the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon continue to absorb the power in the white dragon jade. Inheritance blood essence. Long Chen dripped a drop of the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence onto the seal barrier of the second ancestral dragon lair. The seal barrier began to disintegrate. Although it was a little risky to release the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon now, it was still possible for Long Chen to resist it if he gave it his all. It was better than waiting for the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon to completely absorb the white dragon jade. At that time, Long Chen would definitely not be able to resist it. Finally, I'm out. The cold voice of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was heard from the second ancestral dragon lair. There was a carefree tone in its voice. Long Chun, you are too gullible. I can't completely absorb the power in the white dragon jade, let alone break free from the seal. Thanks to you, I can only get out of the seal. The cold laughter of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon reached Long Chen's ears. In that case, I can only fight. Long Chen looked at the entrance of the second ancestral dragon lair and saw a giant beast slowly appear. He did not have much regret. From the moment he decided to release the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, he was prepared to be deceived by it. It was hard to say who would win in the end. Although the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon had deceived Long Chen in terms of the seal, the white dragon jade indeed contained the power of the first ancestral dragon. This was Long Chen's chance. Chapter 3760. The chaotic sky-devouring dragon was ranked second among the sky-swallowing clan's sacred lords. Its strength was second only to the first sacred lord of the sky-swallowing clan. At that moment, the chaotic sky-devouring dragon finally broke free from the ancestral dragon seal and slowly came to the primogenitor's world. It was a huge black divine dragon. It left the huge cave of the ancestral dragon lair and appeared in front of Long Chen. An unparalleled sense of oppression swept towards him. A pair of huge and eerie eyes stared at Long Chen. There was an endless coldness in those eyes. Apart from that coldness, there was no other emotion. Long Chen, I want to thank you for freeing me from the seal. As a gift, I'll give you the result of being devoured. You'll be able to quietly watch the scene of all worlds being devoured by me in my stomach. The chaotic sky-devouring dragon said coldly. Its huge black divine dragon body rolled towards Long Chen. It brought along a wave of devouring nomological laws that formed countless nomological vortexes in the surroundings. The chaotic sky-devouring dragon only moved slightly and caused spatial chaos. The devouring nomological laws swept across the entire place. Long Chen was the first to be affected by the wave of devouring nomological laws. He was sucked into it. Primeval strike. Long Chen was sucked into the devouring nomological storm. The three types of primeval laws in his body gathered together and formed a beam of light that exploded. It blasted through the devouring nomological vortex. However, Long Chen was shocked. The other party had not really used any nomological techniques. Just a casual move was enough to force him to use the primeval strike. If the chaotic sky-devouring dragon really used the nomological laws, wouldn't it be able to completely suppress him? The primeval strike broke through the devouring nomological vortex. Then, Long Chen followed after the primeval strike. He held the primordial bronze pagoda in his hand and gathered the nomological powers of primordial chaos, and creation. Then, the time chain wrapped around Long Chen's body. 3 rays of extreme sky sword light erupted from his hand. 3 eternal swords. Long Chen raised his hand, and 3 sky-reaching sword lights suddenly shot out, piercing through the sky and the vast sky, and instantly went to the head of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. You used this move to defeat the 6 clones of the Holy Master Monster Demon. Unfortunately, it's still too weak to deal with me. I'm not a fool like the Holy Master Monster Demon. The sky-devouring dragon of chaos laughed. The huge mouth of its divine dragon body suddenly opened, and the world source that belonged to it appeared. It was a door that condensed endless devouring rules. Devouring Gate. The Chaos Heaven-devouring dragon released its own world origin, and the devouring law within the Gate of Devouring erupted, directly absorbing the 3 extreme sky sword lights released by Long Chen into nothingness. The 3 Extremes Eternal Sword was a nomological technique that had previously destroyed the 6 doppelgangers of the monster demon Holy Lord. However, against the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, it was directly devoured by the world origin of the Devouring Gate and did not even cause a ripple. It's my turn now, right? The divine dragon body of the sky-devouring dragon of chaos roared, and countless divine dragons flew out from the Devouring Gate. Billions of divine dragons flew out from the devouring gate, surrounded Long Chen, and opened their mouths to devour him. Dragons devour the sky. The sinister laughter of the sky-devouring dragon of chaos was transmitted to Long Chen's ears through the billions of divine dragons. When the nomological technique was executed, Long Chen's entire body was sealed within the infinite divine dragons, and those divine dragons did not hesitate to bite at Long Chen. Primordial Sacrificial Dragon. Seeing this, Long Chen immediately transformed into the primordial sacrificial dragon. He knew that he had to resist this move, or he would be devoured by the billions of divine dragons. His entire body transformed into the primordial sacrificial dragon, and his divine body suddenly enlarged. However, even so, he was only half the size of the sky-devouring dragon of chaos, which indicated the difference in strength between the two. After all, the sky-devouring dragon of chaos was much stronger than Long Chen. Primordial Unification. The Karma Halberd was held in Long Chen's hand. Along with the primordial bronze pagoda in his hand and the time chains wrapped around his body, the three divine dragons' inheritances fused together and once again transformed into three primordial light pillars. The Holy Lord of monsters and demons had died under these three primordial light pillars. Now, when Long Chen executed the nomological technique again, the three primordial light pillars roared out and instantly broke through the hundreds of divine dragons in three directions, turning their bodies into nothingness. However, this did not solve the predicament that Long Chen was currently facing. Although hundreds of divine dragons were destroyed by the primordial light pillars and returned to the primordial, there were still more divine dragons that flew out from the devouring gate and bit down on Long Chen. After the primordial unification, Long Chen no longer had any means to resist. Billions of divine dragons surrounded Long Chen from countless directions. Each of them opened their huge mouths and bit down on the primordial sacrificial dragon divine body that Long Chen had transformed into. Countless pieces of flesh and blood were bitten off by the billions of divine dragons, and then they were devoured separately. The effect of the primordial sacrificial dragon divine body on Long Chen's primordial sacrificial dragon divine body was almost equivalent to being divided and eaten. It was extremely terrifying. Long Chen continued to struggle, executing all sorts of nomological techniques, but he couldn't completely annihilate the billions of divine dragons. He could kill thousands or even tens of thousands of divine dragons, but the divine dragons that flew out from the devouring gate were billions of divine dragons. Long Chen's primordial sacrificial dragon divine body was rapidly devoured, and the essence of its flesh and blood was devoured by those divine dragons. During this process, Long Chen had almost no ability to resist. More than half of his flesh and blood were bitten off. The primordial sacrificial dragon divine body was riddled with holes, and it was severely injured. As the primordial sacrificial dragon divine body was devoured, all the living beings in Long Chen's divine kingdom felt an indescribable sadness. Lingxi and Li Xuanji were together, holding each other's fair little hands as they waited anxiously for everything to happen. Long Chen's divine kingdom was constantly being destroyed, and the world was gradually becoming incomplete. Not only that, in Long Chen's divine kingdom, all sorts of disasters started to break out. Space collapsed, time became chaotic, and countless innocent living beings suffered. How can this be? How can this be? Long Chen resisted with difficulty, and he did his best to resist the primordial heaven-devouring dragons devouring law. Finally, at the last moment, he used the primordial copper pagoda as the world's origin to burst out 3 layers of primordial heaven-devouring dragon divine body, which was severely injured, to protect his primordial sacrificial dragon divine body. The strength of the 3 layers of primordial heaven-devouring dragons' primordial heaven-devouring law had finally surpassed the strength of the billions of divine dragons. The billions of divine dragons were recalled back into the devouring gate by the primordial heaven-devouring dragon. Next, it's time for you to feel despair. Devouring the origin. Chapter 3761. The origin of devouring was another rule of the chaotic sky-devouring dragon. The previous sky-devouring dragons had already made Long Chen feel the horror of the chaotic sky-devouring dragon. The sky-devouring dragons alone had made billions of mystical dragons come out of the devouring gate and devour nearly half of Long Chen's flesh and blood essence. Now that the origin of devouring rule had descended, the devouring gate fell instantly and swallowed Long Chen along with the 3 layers of primordial law barriers. Long Chen transformed into the primordial sacrificial dragon and felt his surroundings suddenly turn dark. He couldn't see anything except for the waves of devouring rule storm that started to devour the 3 layers of primordial law barriers. Am I being swallowed into the stomach of the chaotic sky-devouring dragon? Long Chen's face darkened. He could feel that the 3 layers of primordial law barriers that he had condensed with all his might couldn't put up much resistance against the surrounding devouring rule storm. Although he had resisted the sky-devouring dragon's continued devouring, he couldn't do anything against the other rule of the chaotic sky-devouring dragon, the origin of devouring. Under the devouring rule that could devour all origins, the 3 layers of primordial law barriers were rapidly devoured. Once the 3 layers of primordial law barriers were devoured, Long Chen's primordial sacrificial dragon divine body would definitely become even more vulnerable and would be completely devoured by the other party. Once Long Chen was devoured, his god nation would shatter and all worlds would perish. Such an outcome wasn't something that Long Chen could accept. However, he had no other choice and no way to face the terrifying devouring of the chaotic sky-devouring dragon.
Bang!
The first layer of primordial law barriers finally shattered under the endless devouring storm. It turned into nomological fragments and integrated into the devouring storm. The second layer of primordial law barriers continued to resist the devouring of the devouring storm. However, it was obvious that it wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. Lingxi, Xuanji, I've failed. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon is simply too strong. Long Chen's expression was sorrowful. He thought of Lingxi and Li Xuanji in his god kingdom, the other living beings in his god kingdom, and the confused Mo Shaoling. Everything seemed to return to nothingness, devoured by the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. After being swallowed by the devouring origin, Long Chen no longer stood a chance. All his struggles had become meaningless. Chen, no matter what, you have tried your best. Don't blame yourself, Lingxi said with great heartache. That's right, there's still hope now. Don't give up. Li Xuanji's eyes were not filled with despair. At this moment, she seemed to have more fighting spirit than Long Chen. However, everything was useless. Li Xuanji didn't really feel the power of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, but Long Chen was directly attacked by the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. Whether it was the 3 extremes eternal sword or the primordial coalescence, these 2 rules were already Long Chen's strongest. Now, facing the chaotic heaven-devouring dragons and devouring origin, they had no way of resisting. The difference between the 2 was just too great. Inside the belly of the primordial heaven-devouring dragon, Long Chen had transformed into the gray divine dragon body of the primordial sacrificial dragon. He was surrounded by the endless devouring storm. The second layer of the primordial sacrificial dragon's rule barrier finally shattered, leaving only the last layer. Once this barrier was broken, Long Chen would be completely devoured. Everything in the infinite worlds would be destroyed. Long Chen was constantly thinking of a solution. However, under the situation where his power was absolutely suppressed by the other party, there was no solution at all. No wonder the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was so confident in using the white dragon jade to lure Long Chen. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was extremely confident in its own strength. At this moment of despair, the god nation in Long Chen's body was filled with sorrow. Many living beings quietened down and looked at everything outside the god nation. No one made any noise, no one cried. There was only the silence before the final despair. All the living beings in the god nation knew that Long Chen had tried his best and risked his life. Now it was to the point where even Long Chen couldn't do anything. In front of Long Chen, The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon had absolute power. The last layer of primordial law barriers? Long Chen watched as the last layer of the primeval rule barrier crumbled and began to crack. Outside the barrier, the devouring rule storm continued to howl, engulfing everything it touched. Then, it crushed everything it touched into powder and swallowed the origin of all things. At the next moment, the third layer of primordial law barriers, which was also the last layer of primordial law barriers, was finally destroyed and devoured by the devouring storm. Long Chen's primordial sacrificial dragon divine body was directly exposed to the devouring law storm and was about to be annihilated and devoured. At this moment of despair, Long Chen couldn't think of any way to get out of this predicament. However, at this moment, when Long Chen, Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and countless living beings in the God Nation were in despair, a ray of light suddenly shone in. A familiar power of the ancestral dragon companion fire penetrated from the outside and directly broke a hole in front of Long Chen. It's the ancestral firestorm. Xiaoling is back. Long Chen's eyes immediately lit up with hope. The devouring rule storm had been torn open. Without any hesitation, he dashed straight into the opening. As he rushed out of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon's belly, Long Chen released 3 primordial convergence light pillars into its belly. The 3 light pillars blasted into the belly of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. With a loud explosion, Long Chen escaped from the belly of the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon and finally saw Emo Xiaoling, who had transformed into a sun-devouring demonic wolf. From the eyes of the sun-devouring demonic wolf, Long Chen could see a strong sense of brotherhood. This was undoubtedly Emo Xiaoling, and no longer the confused sun-devouring demonic wolf. Xiaoling, you're awake. Long Chen couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. Big brother, I've caused trouble for you. Emo Xiaoling knew that his confused mind had caused trouble for Long Chen, and he blamed himself. It's fine. Now that you've saved my life from the belly of the sky-devouring clan's sacred leader, we're even. I hope there won't be another opportunity like this. Long Chen laughed heartily and turned to look at the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. He saw that the black mystical dragon had already flown far away and was looking at Long Chen and Emo Xiaoling from afar. It seemed that Emo Xiaolong's sudden arrival and sudden attack on the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon had split open its abdomen. In addition, Long Chen had turned around and released 3 beams of primordial unification light beams into its abdomen. This chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon was seriously injured. Let's fight together, brothers. With Emo Xiaoling by his side, Long Chen's confidence increased 100-fold. Even if he faced the incomparably powerful chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, he might still have a chance of winning. I wish everyone a happy new year in advance. It's almost over. I have mixed feelings, sigh. Chapter 3762. Long Chen was very clear about his goal. If it was a head-on battle, even with the help of Emo Xiaoling, the two of them might not be a match for the chaos heaven-devouring dragon. Therefore, the most important thing for Long Chen was to snatch the white dragon jade on the head of the chaos heaven-devouring dragon and see if it really contained the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon. If it did, it would be the best. Once Long Chen inherited the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon, he would definitely be stronger than the chaos heaven-devouring dragon. Even if he did not, Long Chen would not lose anything. At least the white dragon jade was related to the first ancestral dragon. Xiaoling, you are stronger than me now. It should not be a problem for you to restrain the chaos heaven-devouring dragon. You just need to buy some time for me to get the white dragon jade on its head. Long Chen whispered to Emo Xiaoling. Okay. Emo Xiaoling nodded. He transformed into a sun-devouring demonic wolf and rushed out instantly. The 9 ancestral fires revolved around his body and quickly condensed into an ancestral firestorm. It rushed towards the chaos heaven-devouring dragon and shrouded it instantly. The chaos sky-devouring dragon's abdomen had just been blasted open by Emo Xiaoling, and its abdomen was hit by Long Chen's primordial coalescence. Therefore, it was still a little dizzy, but its injuries were not serious. It should be known that this was the strongest rule that both Mo Xiaoling and Long Chen used. Yet, they could not seriously injure the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon. It could be seen that the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon's current strength was definitely far beyond the two of them. While the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon was still a little dizzy, Mo Xiaoling rushed forward. The ancestral firestorm engulfed the black body of the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon, and the endless power of the ancestral fire began to refine it. Long Chen took the opportunity to get close to the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon. The primordial bronze pagoda gathered the power of the primordial rules in his hand. The power of the primordial rules, chaos rules, and creation rules instantly condensed into 3 primordial light pillars. Primordial unification. 3 beams of primordial unity light beams shot out, accompanied by Mo Xiaolong's ancestral firestorm, bombarding the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon's body. The terrifying destructive power squeezed the space around the Chaos Sky-Devouring Dragon into a vortex, but the body of the Chaos Sky-Devouring Dragon did not suffer much damage. Troublesome. The Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon groaned and finally woke up from its dazed state. Then, it opened its mouth and spewed out a devouring rule from its black divine dragon mouth. It condensed into a storm and devoured the origin. A devouring rule storm roared out and instantly broke through the joint attack of the two. It then rushed towards Mo Xiaoling, who was closer to it. It was this move that had swallowed Long Chen into the belly of the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon. At this moment, it enveloped Mo Xiaolong's sun-devouring demonic wolf divine body. Mo Xiaoling didn't panic at all. The sun-devouring demonic wolf opened its huge mouth and shot out 12 light pillars of different colors. These 12 light pillars of different colors contained the devouring law of different attributes: water, fire, wind, earth, light, darkness. Wait a minute. These were the 12 devouring rules that the Holy Lord Monster Demon could display previously. Mo Xiaoling had devoured the Holy Lord Monster Demon's power, so he could naturally display similar techniques to the Holy Lord Monster Demon. 12 Seals of the Heavens. The sun-devouring demonic wolf opened its huge mouth, and the 12 light pillars suddenly erupted, directly meeting the devouring rule storm of the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon. The tyrannical fluctuations of the devouring origin collided with the 12 light pillars. The strength of both parties surpassed the current Long Chen. In such a battle, it was difficult for Long Chen to intervene. In fact, if he were to get close, he might be engulfed by the two forces and be smashed to pieces. Therefore, Long Chen did not join the main battle. Instead, he was preparing to snatch the white dragon jade. Xueqi, cooperate with me? Long Chen transformed into the primordial sacrificial dragon and moved quickly to the side of the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon. At this moment, the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon noticed Long Chen. A cold glint flashed in its eyes. Just as it was about to attack Long Chen made the first move. Li Xuanji split from Long Chen's holy kingdom and instantly transformed into the Shadow Dream Charm Dragon. Combined with the power of the psychedelic pendant, she used the psychedelic rules to envelop the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon. The Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon was instantly stunned when it was engulfed by the psychedelic rules. Although this process only lasted for a moment, it was enough for Long Chen. White Dragon Jade.
Got it.
Long Chen took the opportunity to fly to the top of the Chaos Heaven-Devouring Dragon's head and snatch the White Dragon Jade. Then, he retreated quickly. Without any hesitation, Li Xuanji merged back into Long Chen's body. All she could do was to confuse the chaotic sky-devouring dragon. Even if it was only for a moment, it was a crucial moment. However, it was impossible for her to do anything else. The difference in strength between the two of them was too huge. Big brother, I will hold him off. You retreat first. Seeing that Long Chen had succeeded, Mo Xiaoling was extremely happy. He immediately shouted, and then 12 colored light pillars rose from his body. The explosion was even more violent than the 12 heavenly seals. It seemed that because Long Chun was still by the chaos heaven-devouring dragon's side, Mo Xiaoling did not use his full strength. However, now that Long Chun had succeeded and retreated, he did not need to care about Long Chun when he used his techniques. He could do as he pleased. Mo Xiaoling, who had used his full strength, was not far from the chaos heaven-devouring dragon. Although he would not be his opponent in the long run, he could at least hold on for a long time. Long Chen felt the terrifying power that Mo Xiaoling had erupted and was instantly relieved. Without any hesitation, he retreated further to a corner of the primogenitor's world. He knew that he could not be of much help in the battle. His only way was to study the white dragon jade first. Previously, he had obtained the black dragon jade from his father. Now, it had become the dragon jade Dao Seal. Now that he had obtained the white dragon jade, there might be some changes when the two were put together. Long Qin took out the dragon jade Dao Seal and placed it together with the white dragon jade. At first, there was no change. However, there was a vague supreme law that began to converge between the two. In the dragon jade Dao Seal, a strong law emerged and instantly turned into the most primitive black dragon jade. When the black dragon jade appeared, it finally began to converge with the white dragon jade on a large scale. The power fused and emitted a black and white power that enveloped the surrounding space and time. Chapter 3763. The black and white dragon jades converged and formed a black and white world that brought Long Chen into it. In this black and white world, Long Chen could not sense the aura of the primogenitor's world, nor could he sense the aura of the infinite worlds. Everything seemed to be made up of black and white. This was a mysterious and ethereal world. After arriving in this world, Long Chen did not have to wait long before a voice that seemed to come from the soul resounded in the depths of his mind. "My successor is finally here." These 8 syllables resounded in Long Chen's mind and caused a soul-level resonance in Long Chen. He did not need to think to know that the existence that made this voice had some sort of soul-level connection with him. "You are? The first ancestral dragon?" Long Chen subconsciously thought in his mind. The only thing that could exist in this black and white world and still have a soul-level connection with him was definitely a divine dragon. Previously, Long Chen had obtained the complete inheritance of the 8 divine dragons, leaving only the first ancestral dragon. The one that appeared now was almost 99% likely to be the first ancestral dragon. Not bad? Although I am already extinct, an invisible soul can still exist in this world. When the black and white dragon jades converge, my soul will awaken. The ethereal and mysterious voice continued to resound in Long Chen's mind, triggering a resonance in the depths of his soul. This was a very wonderful feeling. The soul-level fusion made Long Chen feel as though he had fused with the invisible soul of the first ancestral dragon. "I am Origin Sky Dragon." As this voice rang out in Long Chen's mind, the black and white world around him suddenly changed. It was originally gray, but in the blink of an eye, it turned into a chaotic world. This chaotic world was filled with the power of the infinite realms. It seemed to be the infinite realms from before the epoch. In this chaotic world, Long Chen saw the incomparably vast dragon's sacrificial continent. He saw the existence of many worlds and a scene of prosperity. However, very soon, a destructive force suddenly erupted from the infinite worlds. The sky-devouring race appeared out of nowhere and dealt a heavy blow to the entire infinite worlds with absolute power. This is the war before the epoch. Long Chen saw all of this and knew that the first ancestral dragon, the Origin Dragon, was telling him the secret of this battle. In the war before the era, the myriad worlds were heavily damaged. Long Chen naturally knew about this, but the key was the final outcome. He wasn't very clear about it. Now that he had seen the replay, Long Chen finally understood what had happened at that time. At the end of that battle, although the 10,000 worlds suffered heavy losses, They were about to seal the sky-devouring race and win. However, the first divine master of the sky-devouring race, the heaven-devouring titanic beast, was too strong. In the end, the first ancestor dragon was torn into two. Half of them were devoured by the traitor chaotic heaven-devouring dragon and sealed in the second ancestral dragon cave of the lair of Zulong. The origin heavenly dragon sealed the entire sky-devouring clan with its last bit of power. The other half, which was devoured by the chaotic sky-devouring dragon, turned into black dragon jade and returned to the infinite worlds. All the ancestral mystical dragons perished in that battle. Only the dragon attendants remained. They could only use the black dragon jade to create an inheritor of the ancestral dragon to fight against the remnants of the sky-devouring clan and prevent the sealed sky-devouring clan from returning to the infinite worlds. This was the origin of the black dragon jade. It was formed from half of the first ancestral dragon, the origin heavenly dragon. The formless soul of the origin heavenly dragon didn't say much. It only told Longchen everything through the scene in the black and white world. Do you know what my rules are? The ethereal and mysterious voice of the origin heavenly dragon rang in Longchen's mind again. I don't know. Longchen shook his head. He had a guess in his mind, but he couldn't be sure. Anyway, the other party would tell him, so there was no need to make wild guesses. It's the soul. In the infinite worlds, the souls of all living things were created by me, including the ancestral gods of other worlds. The other worlds in the infinite worlds were created according to the template of the 10 great ancestral dragons. The soul precedes the body, and the origin of all souls in the infinite worlds originates from me, including the sky-devouring clan. The voice of the origin heavenly dragon continued to ring in Longchen's mind, letting Longchen know that the strongest ancestral dragon's rules were the creator of souls. To be able to create the souls of all living things in the infinite worlds, one could see how great the power of the origin heavenly dragon was. All living things existed because of the origin heavenly dragon, and the souls of all living things were created by the origin heavenly dragon. I am also the heaven of the infinite worlds. Do you know what heaven means? The next sentence of the origin heavenly dragon pulled Longchen back from his thoughts. He was a little shocked. Heaven? What did the heaven of the infinite worlds mean? Could it be that the first ancestral dragon is the root of the infinite worlds? Longchen couldn't help but guess. That's right. The heaven is the root of the infinite worlds. The voice of the origin heavenly dragon contained a tinge of vicissitudes and helplessness. Unfortunately, I'm not the complete heaven, and I'm not the true master of the infinite worlds. Because of this, I didn't notice the rise of the sky-devouring clan in advance, which led to the final destruction of the world. Even you aren't the true heaven. Longchen was even more confused. If even the first ancestral dragon wasn't the complete heaven, then could there be a stronger existence in this world that could truly rule over the infinite worlds? That's right. There's only one person who can become the complete heaven now. That person is you, Longchen. The voice of the origin heavenly dragon continued to ring in Longchen's mind. We, the ancestral dragons, have studied it before and guessed that if the 10 great ancestral dragons' legacies were combined and concentrated in one person's body, they might be able to become the complete heaven. That way, you would be able to create your own cycle of life and death and create a new world. You would be the true master of the new world and be able to rule over everything within it. The 10 great ancestral dragons' legacies combined. Longchen's heart skipped a beat when he heard that. The 10 great ancestral dragons' legacies combined meant that the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was also included. Now that he had obtained the legacies of the first ancestral dragon, all he needed was the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. That's right. Before the epoch, the 10 great ancestral dragons were separated, so there was no way for the complete heaven to appear. However, in the war before the epoch, the 9 great ancestral dragons died in battle, and the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was also sealed, giving us this opportunity. You must master all 10 great ancestral dragons' legacies in order to become the true heaven. The words of the origin heavenly dragon entered Long Chen's mind, allowing Long Chen to finally understand the cause and effect of all the causes and effects. The convergence of the black and white dragon jades was indeed a good choice, as it was the key to breaking the deadlock. Now that Long Chen knew all this, it would be much easier for him to handle the rest. However, he didn't know how long Mo Shaoling could hold on, so he had to go back as soon as possible to provide support. The new book, Sky Devouring Chronicles, had been released for a month and had nearly 10 million views. It was only a matter of time before it surpassed 100 million views. Currently, it was number 1 on the 17K rankings. Red envelope. At about 1730, the frenzied Xueqi public account would send a small red envelope to the waiting readers. Please open your Xueqi on your mobile phone, click on Contact, and click on the public account in the upper right corner to search for Feng Qingyang. Also, don't be fooled by the fact that the red envelopes would be sold out in a few seconds. Because the information released by the public account would be reviewed, the frenzied would probably only send out the red envelopes after half an hour, so the time was not accurate. Because the review time was uncertain, it could only be said to be about 5:30. Chapter 3764. Long Chen wanted to go back and help, but of course he couldn't just go back like that. Now that he had obtained the white dragon jade, he could fuse the black and white dragon jades together. When the two fused, they would form the world source of the first ancestral dragon's origin sky dragon. The origin sky dragon's origin dragon soul and inherited essence blood were also in these two dragon jades. With the three gathered, Long Chen could finally prepare to fuse with the first ancestral dragon's legacy. If the fusion was successful, then Long Chen could transform into the origin sky dragon and control the rules of souls. Dealing with the heaven-devouring primal chaos dragon would no longer be difficult. Let's begin the fusion. I hope I can help Shaoling in time. Long Chen thought to himself. He came out of the black and white world, holding the black dragon jade in one hand and the white dragon jade in the other. He began to feel the spiritual aura that belonged to the first ancestral dragon. When he started the fusion, the origin sky dragon told Long Chen that when he fused with the essence blood and legacies of the 10 ancestral dragons, he would need one last bit of power to make himself the final sky. That power could only come from the heaven-devouring titanic beast. The heaven-devouring titanic beast was strong enough. Defeating it would allow Long Chen to successfully fuse with the power of the 10 ancestral dragons, including the heaven-devouring primal chaos dragon. Of course, before that, Long Chen had to defeat the heaven-devouring primal chaos dragon. Of course, as long as Long Chen could successfully fuse with the first ancestral dragon and inherit the legacy of the first ancestral dragon, then there would be no problem dealing with the heaven-devouring primal chaos dragon. The first ancestral dragon controls the rules of souls. All the souls of the living beings in the 10,000 worlds were created by it. If I inherit it, I can become the first ancestral dragon, the origin sky dragon? Long Chen was worried about Mo Shaoling. He knew that Mo Shaoling was definitely not a match for the heaven-devouring primal chaos dragon. Therefore, he had to achieve the fastest speed of fusion. The power of the origin sky dragon, along with the black and white dragon jades, constantly fused into Long Chen's body. Long Chen's body gradually became indistinct and translucent. The origin sky dragon was the dragon that controlled souls, and it was the origin of all souls in the world. It had no shape or form, and it did not have a body. It belonged to nothingness, and it did not have any specific shape. Therefore, during the process of assimilating the origin sky dragon's inheritance, Long Chen's body suddenly flickered and disappeared, becoming fainter and fainter. Not long after, Long Chen's body finally disappeared completely. With the black and white pieces of dragon jade, Long Chen finally transformed into the formless origin heavenly dragon. With the first ancestral dragon soul law in his hands, the origin of the world was constantly being born in his body. There was no concept of time in the Primogenita's world, so Long Chen did not know how much time had passed. He was very anxious about Emo Xiaolong's situation, so he did not stay where he was the moment he integrated the Origin Sky Dragon's inheritance. He immediately rushed toward the lair of Zulong in the center of the Primogenitor's world. At the same time, near the lair of the Ancestor Divine Dragon in the center of the Primogenitor's world, the battle between the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Emo Xiaoling had transformed into and the Black Divine Dragon, the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, had reached its final stage. There was already a gap between their combat strength. Even though Emo Xiaoling had devoured the Holy Lord Monster Demon's power, he was still weaker than the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. At this moment, there was not a single part of the sun-devouring demonic wolf's divine body that was intact. Blood was flowing everywhere, and the flesh and blood of countless parts of its body had been devoured by the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. It's almost time for you to die. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon's cold eyes stared at the sun-devouring demonic wolf. The sun-devouring demonic wolf was severely injured, and its huge divine body was almost out of control. It could not move, but its eyes were still staring at the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, and it did not say a word. However, before I deal with you, that ancestral dragon inheritor will probably inherit the first ancestral dragon's inheritance. I have to get rid of him first. Otherwise, there might be some accidents. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was not interested in the heavily injured sun-devouring demonic wolf. It knew that Long Chen was definitely studying the black and white dragon jades in order to fuse with the first ancestral dragon's inheritance, so it wanted to stop him first. However, Emo Xiaoling naturally knew this. How could he let the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon disappear before his eyes and disturb Long Chen's fusion? Even though the divine body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was riddled with holes, it had to stop the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon from leaving no matter what. It had to use all its strength to make the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon stay. He didn't say anything. The sun-devouring demon wolf was completely exhausted and didn't even have the strength to speak. Only the ferocity in his eyes expressed his determination. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon had just turned around when the sun-devouring demonic wolf, who could not move, jumped up. 12 fiendish demons?
Storms.
12 different powers burst out of the sun-devouring demonic wolf's body. This power originally belonged to the fiendish demon Sacred Lord, but now it was fully utilized by the sun-devouring demonic wolf. 12 storms swept towards the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. Devouring Gate. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon snorted coldly. The world origin, the Devouring Gate, appeared just like that. The devouring nomological storm erupted and swallowed the 12 fiendish demon storms. You no longer have any combat strength. Do you really want to die? The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon looked at the sun-devouring demonic wolf's dispirited appearance and snorted coldly. That lad, whose divine body was no longer complete, actually wanted to stop it. What a joke. The sun-devouring demonic wolf did not reply. It just opened its huge mouth and bit down on the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon did not expect Emo Xiaoling to dare to attack. This was clearly a suicidal act. The devouring nomological storm erupted from its body. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon opened its huge mouth. It did not think about looking for Long Chen first and bit down on the sun-devouring demonic wolf directly. The terrifying devouring nomological power bit off half of the sun-devouring demonic wolf's divine body and swallowed it into its stomach. However, even though the sun-devouring demonic wolf did not have half of its divine body, the remaining half still held onto the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon tightly and did not let it leave. Courting death. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon's eyes were filled with ruthlessness. It opened its huge mouth again, and the devouring gate appeared, swallowing the sun-devouring demonic wolf into its stomach. Origin of devouring. The nomological power that was used against Long Chun was used against Mo Xiaoling again. At this moment, it was impossible for Mo Xiaoling to resist. The remaining half of his divine body was also swallowed by the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. Chapter 30, 765. After devouring the sun-devouring demonic wolf, the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was very satisfied. He could feel the power that belonged to the sun-devouring demonic wolf and the Holy Lord monster demon burning in his body and fusing with his divine body, making him stronger. So powerful. With the power of the Holy Lord monster demon, even if I go against the first ancestral dragon, I'm afraid I have a chance of winning. I'm afraid he has a chance of winning. That annoying thing is finally dead. Now, there's only Long Chun left. He should be hiding in some corner, trying to inherit the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon didn't waste much time and searched the edges of the primogenita's world without letting go of any corner. The chaotic heaven-devouring dragon was searching for Long Chun, but it didn't know that Long Chun was also searching for the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. It didn't know that Long Chun could fuse with the first ancestral dragon's inheritance so quickly. Hence, its eyes were still filled with satisfaction and pride from devouring the sun-devouring demonic wolf. Both sides finally met at a corner near the edge of the primogenitor's world. At this time, Long Chun had just fused with the first ancestral dragon's inheritance and was heading towards the center of the primogenitor's world. He didn't expect to meet the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon head-on. If not for Mo Xiaoling using his life to buy time for Long Chun, when the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon arrived, Long Chun might not have completely fused with the first ancestral dragon's inheritance. That would be terrible. Now, Long Chun had already fused with the first ancestral dragon's inheritance and met the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon not long after. However, the price was Mo Xiaoling's complete sacrifice. Xiaoling has been killed by you. Long Chun saw the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon from afar. The black divine dragon's divine body appeared in the void like a swimming dragon, and a cold, murderous aura emerged in its eyes. He had already felt that the power of the sun-devouring direwolf and the power of the monster demon Holy Lord had been integrated into the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon's body. Therefore, the process was no longer important. The result was that the sun-devouring direwolf would definitely be devoured by the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. Not only Long Chun, but Lingxi and Li Xuanji, who were in Long Chun's holy kingdom, had also seen the chaotic sky-devouring dragon. Their faces were filled with shock and disbelief. Mo Xiaoling had always been able to escape death and had helped Long Chun a few times. But now, he was really dead, swallowed by the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon. Not bad, you're next. The chaotic sky-devouring dragon looked at Long Chun from afar and felt the change in Long Chun's aura. However, it was not afraid and was instead eager to try. Now that it had devoured the power of the sun-devouring direwolf and the monster demon Holy Lord, its strength had increased greatly. It wanted to try fighting against the first ancestral dragon. Moreover, it felt that Long Chun had just integrated with the first ancestral dragon's inheritance and could not use it so skillfully. Then come and try. All he could do next was to kill the chaotic sky-devouring dragon. The sky-devouring clan must die. A message was gradually transmitted to Long Chun's mind from the black and white dragon jades. The first ancestral dragon was reminding Long Chun not to lose his mind. Although your brother is dead now, as long as you can become heaven, everything can be restarted. He can still be resurrected, and those who died in the past will all wake up. The reminder from the origin sky dragon made Long Chun's heart skip a beat. Indeed, the first ancestral dragon had the rules of the soul. As long as he became heaven and became the true master of this world, he could still save those who had died before. This made Long Chun feel a little more at ease. However, no matter what, the chaotic sky-devouring dragon had to be killed. Die for me, 12 demon gates. When the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon saw Long Chun from afar, it didn't hesitate too much. It launched a nomological attack towards Long Chun. The 12 demon gates actually used the power of the holy master of the demon race. Then, it combined with its own power and turned into 12 devouring gates. The 12 demon-devouring gates surrounded the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon's world source, the largest devouring gate, in the middle. Then, they howled and formed a tornado that swept towards Long Chun. The devouring rules danced wildly, causing space and time to change constantly, forming a terrifying vortex of turbulence. If one was sucked into it, there would be no chance of survival for anything in the world. Long Chun was still standing where he was. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Suddenly, his body faded and he disappeared. He did not really disappear, but had transformed into the origin sky dragon without a body. After transforming into the first ancestral dragon, Long Chun merged with the black and white dragon jades and completely mastered the rules of the soul. Soul expiation. Long Chun was filled with hatred. His entire body was filled with anger. He released the power of the black and white dragon jades completely, forming a completely invisible soul arm. This soul arm completely avoided the 12 demon gates and suddenly descended on the divine body of the chaotic sky-devouring dragon. The origin sky dragon did not have a body. Long Chun transformed into the origin sky dragon and easily dodged the other party's devouring rules storm vortex. Then, he used the soul expiation arm to grab the ancestral soul in the chaotic sky-devouring dragon's body. Then it was peeled off, shattered, and annihilated. One soul expiation completely annihilated the chaotic sky-devouring dragon's soul. Without a soul, the chaotic sky-devouring dragon could be said to be completely dead. There was no trace of consciousness left. In that instant, the chaotic sky-devouring dragon sensed death and completely lost consciousness. After the soul was shattered, only the divine body of the black dragon was left. However, in reality, it was completely dead. Soul expiation. Instant death. The chaotic sky-devouring dragon could not resist at all and was crushed by Long Chun. Even so, Mo Shaoling could not return. His soul and divine body had been completely devoured by the chaotic sky-devouring dragon and integrated into its own power. As long as I can become sky? Long Chun's eyes were solemn. His body reappeared in the void, and with a raise of his hand, the 9 ancestral dragon laws merged with each other. In an instant, it exploded and extracted the essence blood and the origin of the world from the chaotic sky-devouring dragon's body. Fuse. The chaotic sky-devouring dragon was the traitorous 10th ancestral dragon. At the same time, it was also a necessary link for Long Chun to become sky. Long Chun would not let it go. At this point, the 10 ancestral dragon legacies had all been integrated into Long Chun's body. This allowed Long Chun to possess the 3 strongest laws: soul, primordial, and origin. Chapter 3766. From then on, the heaven-devouring primal chaos dragon was no more. This mixed-blood dragon had become the 10th ancestral dragon by chance and reached the primordial ancestor realm in the second era, comparable to the primordial dragon's sacrificial rites. He had caused endless trouble in the 10,000 realms, and even Mo Shaoling had died at his hands. But he had still perished at the hands of Long Chun. Perished at the hands of the first ancestral dragon. The primordial world suddenly fell silent. Everything had been annihilated. In the endless territories, only Long Chun and the silent lair of the ancestral dragon were left. Only the largest cave in the center had an almost transparent and blurry seal from the first ancestral dragon. The battle with the heaven-devouring primal chaos dragon was a gamble. Long Chun had won the gamble and obtained the white dragon jade. He had become the first ancestral dragon and devoured the heaven-devouring primal chaos dragon. But he had lost Mo Shaoling, his closest brother, his brother. What was joy? What was sorrow?
No joy, no sorrow.
Then what was heaven? Perhaps that is the 10,000 realms themselves. Whoever the 10,000 realms wanted to exist, that person would exist. Long Chen treated it as Mo Xiaoling withdrawing from the battle. If I die in the future, then everyone will disappear. If I live, then everything will return to me. For this battle, he used the primordial dragon's sacrificial rites to open up the passage between the 10,000 realms and the primordial world with a wave of his hand. He guided the power that the heaven-devouring primal chaos dragon had devoured from the demon sage lord and the sun-devouring wolf demon wolf into the dragon's sacrificial rites. Under the nourishment of this endless power, the 10,000 realms continued to recover. Everything seemed to be moving in the best direction. It was just that Long Chen was a little dazed. He knew that everything before his eyes was just an illusion before the heaven-devouring titanic beast died. After guiding the power that originally belonged to the 10,000 realms towards the 10,000 realms, he passed through the passage and headed towards the 10,000 realms. If I don't die, the prosperity of the 10,000 realms will always be fake. When Long Chen took a step forward, a figure was swaying in the center of the lair of Zulong. Long Chen turned around and saw that it was himself. "Don't look at me like that. Don't you have your own look?" Long Chen asked. "There really isn't." That figure was very relaxed. As he spoke, he kept smiling. Long Chen turned back. He wanted to return to the 10,000 realms, but he knew that the heaven-devouring titanic beast was right. As long as he existed, even if the 10,000 realms were restored to their pre-epic standards, it would still be fake. "You'll be back. It won't take long," the heaven-devouring titanic beast said confidently. At that time, Long Chen had already closed the passage between the dragon's sacrificial world and the primogenitor's world. He returned to the infinite worlds and looked at the vast starry sky. Things remain the same, but people have changed. Many elder gods of the myriad worlds were waiting to welcome his return. Because of the return of the Holy Master's powers, the elder gods' worlds were also growing. The 10,000 realms in front of them were brand new, and it looked like they were about to return to their pre-epic standards of prosperity. On the dragon's sacrificial continent, billions of mystical dragons soared, and countless new lives were born. Looking down from the sky above the dragon's sacrificial continent, because the 10 ancestor dragons had gathered on Long Chen's body and returned, the dragon's sacrificial continent was basically the same as before the epoch. The era that Long Chen had dreamed of had finally arrived. Lingxi couldn't help but shed sparkling tears. She understood Long Chen the best. Your dream since you were young was to return the dragon's sacrificial continent to its pre-epoch. Today you have finally achieved it. Thinking back, how many hardships had he gone through in these endless years to reach this step? But Long Chen's expression was still indifferent. What's the matter? Is it because of Xiao Lang? Li Xuanji looked at him gently and said softly, "Nope." Long Chen shook his head and didn't speak. He circled around the dragon's sacrificial continent and then returned. He said to the crowd, "All elder gods, return to your own worlds. From today onwards, I will help everyone build their own worlds."
Boom.
The elder gods cheered, their eyes brimming with tears. Soyan was really crying. Everyone was here, but the person she loved the most was gone. Kitten said, "Boss, although Xiao Lang has sacrificed himself, I feel that as long as you deepen the seal on the origin heavenly dragon and seal the heaven-devouring titanic beast in the primogenitor's world forever. With a powerful existence like you, the 10,000 realms will definitely be peaceful forever and develop magnificently, even surpassing the prosperity of the pre-epoch. Our days of true peace should be here." Yes, that's right. Chen already has the legacies of the 10 ancestor dragons, and his abilities will definitely surpass the first ancestor dragon of the pre-epoch. The first ancestor dragon used half his life and strength to seal the heaven-devouring titanic beast. In addition, Chen is at his peak. As long as the heaven-devouring titanic beast is in the primogenitor's world, there will be no problem, the eternal dragon emperor said. Of course, The heaven-devouring titanic beast is too dangerous. There's no need to fight him. That's too risky. Perhaps this was what everyone was thinking.
They still didn't know about Tian.
Everyone rest first. We'll discuss other matters in 10,000 years. Long Chen left. In 10,000 years, the 10,000 realms had caught up to the standards of the pre-epic. The souls of the fourth epic ancestor gods that were slumbering in the ruins of time, after Long Chen became the origin heavenly dragon. Naturally, he easily sent them back to the source of their own worlds. Long Chen had helped them rebuild the world that belonged to them. For example, the primal chaos realm. The primal chaos realm of the pre-epic was created by the 10 ancestor dragons, who had given the primal chaos ancestral gods a template. And the source of the realms was its foundation. The one who truly had the ability to create worlds was the origin heavenly dragon. He was the one who gave the primal chaos ancestral gods his soul, which allowed the primal chaos ancestral gods to be born from the source of the realms. Subsequently, the primordial sacrificial dragon gave him the physical body and framework to create worlds. The other ancestor dragons added time, karma, life, and more. Just as Long Chen had imagined, in 10,000 years of hard work, he had created a 10,000 realms similar to the one before the epic. With the abilities of the 10 ancestor dragons as one, he was like the sky of the 10,000 realms. But he knew that he wasn't. If heaven existed, then the 10 great ancestral dragons were created by heaven. That was the foundation. Long Chen, listen to me. The 10,000 realms are flourishing now. Don't go and fight the heaven-devouring titanic beast. If you lose, everything you have built will be destroyed, the primal chaos ancestral god reminded him multiple times. I know that your brother, Mo Xiaoling, has passed away. Perhaps you want to achieve a greater breakthrough to destroy the power of the heaven-devouring titanic beast and let him return. But that might lead to the true destruction of the 10,000 realms. Long Chen didn't hide anything about Tian from them. Before you make a decision, you have to think carefully. You have fought from the lowest level of the 10,000 realms to where you are now. You have finally fulfilled his dream and destiny and revived the 10,000 realms. Don't destroy everything because of a brother. The ancestor gods were all advising him, because they realized that Long Chen had been very lonely in these 10,000 years. He didn't want to say anything. He sat on a mountain peak in the dragon's sacrificial continent. Lingxi and Li Xuanji were leaning on his left and right respectively. The sun was setting. All things were flourishing. It was a very peaceful evening. Long Chen, do you miss Xiaoling's? Lingxi lifted her head and looked at him with her ethereal eyes.
No.
Why? 10,000 years is too short. It's not enough to make me miss him. Long Chen looked ahead and said plainly. Then why? Lingxi didn't understand. You want to become Tian first and revive him, as well as all the people who died in this battlefield, the 10 dragon servants, and even your father. Li Xuanji suddenly said. That's not the goal. Long Chen shook his head and suddenly stood up. I'm leaving. Lingxi and Li Xuanji also stood up in panic and asked in unison, Where are you going? The primogenitor's world. Long Chen's lips parted slightly as he spoke of the 4 things that made them afraid. How can you? Don't you need to discuss it with the ancestor gods? They don't want you to go. Lingxi was actually very conflicted. On one hand, she knew that the 10,000 realms of today didn't come easily. The peace and freedom that billions of lives yearned for had finally been realized. Her children were all growing up happily. But on the other hand, she understood the brotherly love that Long Chen had for Mo Xiaoling. She understood his respect and longing for the 10 dragon servants and his father. Between the big picture of the world and his own love, how should he choose? There's no need for discussion. I'm not going just for Xiaoling and father. Long Chen said, that is, when you see the heaven-devouring titanic beast, you will understand. Of course, Long Chen would bring them along. Because if they died in battle, the 10,000 realms would be destroyed. No matter where they hid, it would be useless. Long Chen flew into the starry sky. His gaze swept across the 10,000 realms, down to each world, down to each life. Their growth, emotions, happiness, anger, sorrow, and life experiences could not escape Long Chen's eyes. I'm not Tian yet. He could vaguely feel the feeling of having complete control over the 10,000 realms and setting the rules. It was as though he was in a house. He was huge, but he couldn't move. The 10,000 realms were prosperous, and filled with blood. This was the most magnificent era. Little Xueqi, do you see this? Long Chen pointed at the endless world. I see it. It's almost the same as before the epoch. It's a huge world, Lingxi said. Long Chen, what are you trying to say? In these 10,000 years, he seemed to be living in solitude. Even the two of them couldn't get close to his heart. Solitude. I want to say. Long Chen laughed bitterly and continued, all of this is just an illusion. It was fake.
Why?
The origin heavenly dragon underestimated the heaven-devouring titanic beast. He thought that he was about to win before the epoch, but he actually lost almost everything. He just dragged it out for an epoch, Long Chen said solemnly. At first, he thought that he had lost completely. After meeting the origin heavenly dragon, he thought that he had won. But now he understood that he had still lost. Both Lingxi and Li Xuanji were confused by her words. However, after resting for 10,000 years and preparing himself, Long Chen was ready to embark on a new journey. Lin Qing Sheng. Before they left, Long Chen greeted them.
He saw his own children.
If he lost, they would disappear, and he would also disappear. Everything would return to nirvana. Long Chen wanted to look at them a few more times. He wanted to engrave the children's appearances and expressions in his heart. Father. Are you going to fight the biggest bad guy? Dragon Yen suddenly burst into tears.
Yes.
Remember to kick his ass for me. No problem. Let them stay on the dragon's sacrificial continent. Long Chen only brought Lingxi and Li Xuanji with him. After looking at this prosperous world for a few days, he embarked on his journey. He had prepared for this moment for 10,000 years. Boss. Kitten had also grown up. He no longer had that smile on his face. His eyes were complicated. Are you going? Long Chen asked. Forget it. I'm not going. It made no difference whether he went or not. Even if he was there, he wouldn't be able to understand a battle of this level. Okay, then you stay here. Boss, all these years of friendship really come to an end today. When Long Chen was about to leave, Kitten suddenly said, What do you mean? Kitten pursed his lips and said, Xiaoling is gone. If you lose today's battle, everyone will leave. Isn't that a full stop? It's the end. Long Chen smiled and said, You look down on me so much. Who knows, maybe I will win. If you win, I'll tell you a secret. Secrets? Okay, you're still joking at this time. Your personality really doesn't change no matter what situation you're in. Long Chen waved his hand. Since Kitten didn't want to leave, he left with the two women. If they were with him at the last moment of his life, it would be a blessing. I think Kitten is a little strange, Li Xuanji said. Long Chen didn't say much. He passed through the dragon god's origin grounds and entered the primogenitor's world. When he disappeared in the infinite worlds, the elder gods, and all living beings basically didn't know. It was like living in a dream and enjoying peace. You're here. When Long Chen appeared above the lair of Zulong, the figure in the central lair, within the transparent barrier, appeared again. It was Long Chen's own appearance. His smile, movements, demeanor, figure, and appearance were almost the same. Sorry to keep you waiting. Long Chen's expression was indifferent as he returned to this place. It's no big deal. You just had a dream. There should be such peace before the storm. In the primogenitor's world, it seemed like two Long Chens were talking. The other holy masters all have some special characteristics. Why are you called the heaven-devouring titanic beast? This name could be given to all members of the sky-devouring tribe. I never had a name, and I don't exist. I don't know whether I'm alive or dead. My name should be meaningless to me. What do you mean, don't exist? Don't know whether I'm alive or dead. The heaven-devouring Titanic beast laughed. Who knows? Sometimes you misunderstand me. Now I know what I am. Sky-devouring tribe? A beast that devours the heavens and earth, a destroyer of laws. Sometimes I feel like I'm something else. For example, a dot, a gust of wind. He was different from the other holy masters of the sky-devouring tribe. Actually, our paths of growth are very similar. How so? In the beginning, I was just a tiny beast in the lowest level of the world. I had decades of lifespan, and I could die in the forest at any time. As for you, you were tiny as well. In a small town at the edge of the world, we started our journey. We went through a perfect process, which was the progression of life. You grew stronger, and eventually became the ancestor dragon, while I devoured. In the end, I became the strange me. I am of the sky-devouring tribe, but also not of the sky-devouring tribe. I spent all my time thinking about what I was. You are lucky in this. You understand that you are the ancestor dragon. It was the 10,000 realms that created you to govern this world. Then why did the 10,000 realms create you to destroy this world? I was created by the 10,000 realms, but I became an accident. The 10,000 realms cannot control my existence. I live outside this world. Do you understand this? Long Chen shook his head. He did not understand, and this was why he was here. It's a perfect life progression. Only the two of us know this world better than we do. Even the original origin heavenly dragon, who was born as a ruler, couldn't understand it. You, on the other hand, managed to climb from the bottom to the top by chance. The heaven-devouring Titanic beast was a little excited. If the world is a ship, then we are all on board. In the beginning, I was the smallest speck of dust, and the 10 ancestor dragons were the ones steering the ship. In the end, I devoured and became a beast on the ship. I defeated humans, and humans heavily injured me. In the time that I could not move, humans allowed you to grow from another speck of dust into a new person. You can steer the ship, but you should have realized that when humans steer the ship, they are separated from each other and cannot be perfectly controlled. If we become the ship itself, I am the ship, and the ship is me, then it will be easy. This cultivation level should be the sky that the origin sky dragon spoke of to you. Long Chen, on the ship, you thought that I, the beast, was injured and hiding. But what you do not know is that I have already devoured this ship. After saying this, the heaven-devouring Titanic beast laughed. He did not just devour everything in the 10,000 realms. He had devoured the entire 10,000 realms. This was why Long Chen had come here. For the sake of the origin sky dragon, he felt that while the 10,000 realms seemed prosperous and the ship had been repaired by him, the heaven-devouring Titanic beast had already devoured the ship long before the epoch. The 10,000 realms were in the belly of the heaven-devouring Titanic beast. Long Chen was also in the belly of the heaven-devouring Titanic beast. The me that you see is not the real me. The me that the first ancestor dragon sealed is only one of my abilities. Even if you do not release me, I cannot do anything to the 10,000 realms. However, you will never be able to become the sky, and your 10,000 realms will never be at peace. Although I cannot digest the 10,000 realms, I can easily destroy all life within them. The heaven-devouring Titanic beast said mildly. Are you threatening me? Long Chen said. No, it is a choice, the heaven-devouring Titanic beast said. Long Chen's mind was still in a mess. He had some doubts. Do the primal chaos heaven-devouring dragon and the others know that you have already devoured the 10,000 realms, and that even they are in your belly? Long Chen asked. Of course they do not know. Otherwise, how could I have helped you reach where you are today? The heaven-devouring Titanic beast said. You are grooming me? Of course not. The origin sky dragon does not know. When you inherited the ancient bloodline's spiritual dragon's essence blood, I knew of your existence. But if I had not groomed you, if I had not destroyed you, how could you have become one of the 10 ancestor dragons? The heaven-devouring titanic beast smiled.
Boom.
So that was it. When Long Chun became the origin sky dragon at his peak, he could clearly feel that the 10,000 realms were being suppressed by something. He felt that it was a form of life. All around the world, there was a boundless and terrifying life. When the origin sky dragon died in battle, he probably did not know that the heaven-devouring titanic beast had reached this stage. However, he had coincidentally sealed some ability of the heaven-devouring titanic beast, preventing him from digesting the 10,000 realms. He had devoured 10,000 realms, and yet he knew of Long Chen's existence. But he had allowed Long Chen to grow?
Why?
What right did he have to nurture such a terrifying opponent? How could his growth be attributed to the heaven-devouring titanic beast? Besides not destroying him, in what way had the heaven-devouring titanic beast helped him? Seeing Long Chen's shock and confusion, the heaven-devouring titanic beast shook its head and smiled. It's like this. Generally speaking, the mysteries of this world are beyond my imagination. I thought that devouring this world would allow me to achieve some goal, but I realized that I could not. I devoured this ship and even digested it, but it did not work. There was only one way, and that was to become this ship. Some goals? What goal do you want to achieve? Long Chen frowned. This is a secret. When I become heaven, I will tell you, the heaven-devouring titanic beast said. 10,000 realms was heaven, and the ship that the heaven-devouring titanic beast spoke of. Devouring 10,000 realms was useless. Only by becoming the 10,000 realms becoming heaven could he achieve his goal. I have never known what I am, or what kind of existence I am. But if I become heaven, then I will have myself. And to become heaven, I will devour you, the amalgamation of the 10 ancestor dragons. You and I are both existences that can become heaven. Ever since he was small, he had never known what he really was. He had devoured the entire world, but he still did not know what he was. Was he just an accident of the laws of 10,000 realms? On that ship he was dust. But how could dust become a titanic beast? Therefore, he was lonely and confused. He wanted to become heaven. That way, he would have himself. Of course, Long Chen didn't really believe it. He wanted to become heaven in order to have an identity. He had devoured 10,000 realms. Even though he knew of his existence, he had allowed himself to grow, and even hid it from the other holy masters. All this was so that Long Chen could amalgamate the 10 ancestor dragons and become heaven. You can choose not to release this ability of mine, but your myriad worlds, yourself, and everything else are in my belly. They won't last long. I can always destroy countless lives and make all of your creations here a joke, an illusion, a dream. This was the threat of the heaven-devouring titanic beast. This was the reason why Long Chen had no choice but to fight him. In order to compete, to become the true heaven. If he won, then he would be the heaven and the 10,000 realms. He would achieve his goal, a goal that he did not want to tell Long Chen. Perhaps that was his long-cherished wish from birth. Long Chen would vanish for all eternity. Everything he had created, his kin, his lovers, and all life in the 10,000 realms would vanish. Because these were all lives bestowed by the origin heavenly dragon. Without the origin heavenly dragon, they would all die, and the primal chaos realm would vanish. Perhaps the heaven-devouring titanic beast would create a new world in the 10,000 realms. Perhaps he would not. Long Chen would not know of any of this. Perhaps Long Chen had become the heavens, but the heaven-devouring titanic beast had nurtured him to this point, and everything was under his control. If he was a ferocious tiger that had raised a child to devour, how could he have been eaten by someone else? Big Brother Chen, could it be that all of this was part of his scheme? That he tricked you into letting him out? You have to understand, how could the myriad worlds possibly be eaten by him? Ling Shi's face was pale. Everything that was unimaginable was truly shocking. After all, the primal chaos heaven-devouring dragon had used the white dragon jade to trick Long Chen previously, causing Mo Xiaoling to die in battle. I won't. Long Chen could feel his presence. He was too huge. Seems like we can only fight, right? Li Xuanji said hoarsely. Yes. There was no room for hesitation. Long Chun had opened the passage to the 10,000 realms in the Primogenita's world. At this time, the 10,000 realms had changed. You can see me, the heaven-devouring titanic beast said. In the blink of an eye, Long Chun appeared in the sky above the dragon's sacrificial continent. Apart from the dragon's sacrificial continent, all the spaces in the 10,000 realms had disappeared. What replaced them was a pitch-black vortex, rolling fog, and extinguishing light. With Long Chen's vision, he could see that all the spaces and worlds in the 10,000 realms were shrouded in this incomparably huge vortex. The dragon's sacrificial continent was the center of the vortex, but it was the only place that was not rotating. The entire 10,000 realms was like a whirlpool ocean and also like a black hole in the starry sky. Apart from the dragon's sacrificial continent, the other 10,000 realms were all engulfed. Countless lives, all the gods, demons, and ancestral gods were instantly extinguished and dissipated. Only the realms and their world origins were still revolving in the 10,000 realms. The rolling black vortex tumbled and raged. Apart from the dragon's sacrificial continent, everything was black waves, storms, deathly stillness, and engulfment. This is my body. He was a beast, but also not a beast. His body was as huge as the 10,000 realms, and it was on the scale of the 10,000 realms before the epoch. Compared to Long Chen's primordial sacrificial dragon godly body, it was tens of thousands of times bigger. The black vortex and black hole tumbled endlessly. Life was extinguished, and the ancestral spirits of the primal chaos, ancestral gods, and the others who had just been resurrected dissipated. The heaven-devouring titanic beast's ability was no longer the same as it was in the first epoch, but an endless one. Long Chen stood on the dragon's sacrificial continent and looked at the endless vortex. This vortex had indeed engulfed the 10,000 realms, instantly killing all life except the dragon's sacrificial continent. Let me out. Victory has to be decided eventually. There's no point in tormenting yourself. The heaven-devouring titanic beast said. Life was extinguished. Just like Mo Shaoling, he died from then on. The black vortex and black hole rotated towards the dragon's sacrificial continent. Soon, even the dragon's sacrificial continent would be engulfed, and all the mystical dragons would be extinct. Yang Yu, the dragon emperor, his children, his sister, Soyan, Kitten, and everyone else were on the dragon's sacrificial continent. But the dragon's sacrificial continent was not safe. Long Chun could move them to the ancestral dragon's companion world. That was the only safe place. But that would be useless. If he died in battle, they would die wherever they were. If he won, and they died, they would be reborn under his will, and the 10,000 realms that had been destroyed would be reborn. Long Chun, don't wait anymore. The heaven-devouring titanic beast said. It was not that he was impatient, but he felt that there was no point in waiting. He had done so much, guided so much, and finally had the chance to become the sky. Before the epoch, he did not know of the existence of the sky, and only wanted to devour 10,000 realms. And now he understood that devouring 10,000 realms would not fulfill his destiny. Long Chun, the endless black vortex, was looking at him. Lingxi and Li Xuanji looked at each other, held hands, and closed their eyes. Time would give the answer. Live and 10,000 realms live. Or die. 10,000 realms die. A drop of Long Chen's origin heavenly dragon's blood penetrated the world barrier and reached the lair of the ancestral dragon. Since it's either death or life, then it's simple. Looking at the endless vortex, Long Chun smiled. The flames of battle were already burning in his heart. Left and right, it's just a battle. This is the last battle of my life. His life had been nothing more than battles and assaults. From the lowliest dust, he had grown to where he was now, only one step away from the sky. His opponent was another candidate for the sky. It was a beast that had devoured the heavens first. Haha. The heaven-devouring titanic beast laughed. He was in the lair of the ancestral dragon, watching the drop of blood hit the barrier. It was a historic scene.
Wang.
The lair of the ancestral dragon exploded. It was completely annihilated, returning to nothingness in an instant. The entire primogenitor's world returned to peace. But the heaven-devouring titanic beast had returned. He was free, truly free.
Ha ha.
The endless black vortex and black hole tumbled. Countless black particles collided, emitting laughter. The laughter changed into a voice that Long Chen was familiar with. "Chen look. Who am I?" Before Long Chen, the black mist, which was as large as 10,000 realms, coalesced into a human figure. It was no longer Long Chen's appearance, but it was very similar to Long Chen. To Long Chen, that was the most important person in his life. Within the black mist, he wore a long blue robe, his long hair flying in the wind. There were 2 strands of white hair at his temples, adding to his weariness. Behind him, countless black threads extended out, connecting with the endless black vortexes, black holes, and endless black mist. Within the black mist, countless black holes opened and closed, as though there were countless mouths that were devouring everything in the 10,000 realms. Father. Looking at that person, Long Chen's heart trembled. The power of origin of countless realms was about to go haywire. The 10 realm origins were all trembling. That was Long Qinglan. His father, the eternal dragon emperor, the time servant, the one who had given Long Chen countless essence blood legacies. He did not want to believe that he was the heaven-devouring titanic beast. He had said that it was not just the first ancestor dragon. He had also nurtured Long Chen. But how? If he was Long Qinglan, then everything would be clear. In Long Chen's life, it was Long Qinglan who had paved the way for his growth. It was this father who had created everything for Long Chen. But how could that be? That was Long Chen's faith, and now it was crumbling. Who could believe that the person he had revered his entire life was a symbol created by the heaven-devouring titanic beast?
Cage.
This was a fatal blow to Long Chen's spirit. He was the originator heavenly dragon, and yet his ancestral spirit was crumbling. Of course, besides the crumbling was rage. The most terrifying rage in his life. He hated being manipulated, hated being blasphemed against Long Qinglan. To him, everything he was witnessing was blasphemy. Father. Long Chen closed his eyes. He exists in my heart. That is enough. As for who he really is, that is not important. He opened his eyes, which were the color of blood. He was no longer immature. When he opened his eyes again, there was only slaughter and battle in his heart. It did not matter if he was his father or not. Their eyes met. Long Qinglan's gaze was warm, and he smiled. "Chen, I have given you everything. Do you have the heart to fight me?" he asked. This sentence was like a sword piercing Long Chen's heart. Faith was a puppet in the hands of the enemy. "I am Long Qinglan. Long Qinglan is me. Everything you have was created by me. Long Qinglan from Baiyang Town is me. The Eternal Dragon Emperor is me. The Time Servant is me. Without me, you would not be who you are today. I have given you everything you have today. Today is the day you repay me, Chen." Before the vortex, Long Qinglan smiled.
Me.
Long Chen took a deep breath. "Chen, don't believe him. He's lying to you. Hurry and kill him." "That's right. Long Chen, don't let him defeat you." Was this a lie? It was difficult to answer. Perhaps it was true. Long Chen thought about it. If he were the heaven-devouring titanic beast, it would not be difficult for him to create a Long Qinglan. Without Long Qinglan, Long Chen would not be where he was today. He is not the only one who created you. There is still the origin sky dragon. Your father is not fake. Li Xuanji's voice was anxious. She did not believe it. She did not dare to believe it. Long Chen revered his father, and so did she. Lingxi revered him even more. He was a man worthy of respect, and he was the one who had given Lingxi her current transformation. all of that is not important. Even though this was the most terrifying blow in the world, it was not enough to crush Long Chen's heart when compared to the fate he was currently shouldering. He was one of the 10 ancestor dragons. And now, as Long Qinglan neared and was about to devour him, he acted. Soul, expiate. This was the origin Sky Dragon's law. A single move had destroyed the arrogant heaven-devouring dragon. Using this law, Long Qin shed tears. Nothing can stop me, not even my father. Even if all of this is fake, all worlds have been destroyed. Now, if it is not death, it is life. Only survival has the right to crumble. And I do not have the right. Perhaps it was Long Qinglan, the heaven-devouring titanic beast, who had created and nurtured Long Chen. But that was not important. What was important was that Long Chen was himself. In this life, he had fought countless battles, but he had never yielded. This time, even his father and his faith were no exception. The spiritual wave surged forth, crashing into Long Qinglan. But it was swallowed up by the endless black vortex, vanishing without a trace. The expiation of the soul had not hurt his opponent in the slightest. Do you know why the origin Sky Dragon could only seal me? Long Qinglan said with a smile. Before Long Chen could answer, he said, because I am a strange existence. I have no soul, no body. Without any of these, how can I expiate my soul? No soul. Even the origin Sky Dragon's attack had been ineffective against him. Perhaps I am a will? Are these things formed by my will, and thus become my bodies? Those endless black vortexes and black holes were the tumbling power, his power. Chenner, there is only one way for us to determine victory and defeat, life and death. After all, given the current situation, I cannot devour you, and you cannot kill me. We can only stand against each other for eternity. Long Qinglan said. What is it? Long Chen stared at him. By now, he seemed to have come to accept everything that had happened. He didn't want to know who this person was because everything he had, his family, his brothers, all the common gods, devils, and elder gods. They were all reasons why he wanted to defeat and kill his opponent. The world was collapsing, but he was not. I have a rule that can determine life and death. Let us return to the beginning, when we are at our weakest, to fight.
When they were still dust.
In terms of rules, both yours and mine belong to the 10,000 realms, within the sky, but I have a Tao that transcends the sky, transcends the 10,000 realms, and transcends everything. Let's call it rule. Chenner, with this you can kill me, and I can kill you. His tone and demeanor were no different from Long Qinglan's. Long Chen understood now. This was the trump card of the heaven-devouring titanic beast. Right now, he and Long Chen could not do anything to each other. They were both at the peak of the 10,000 realms, and the heaven-devouring titanic beast could not escape even if he devoured 10,000 realms. He wanted to kill Wu Yu while he was at it.
Come on.
He had never yielded or retreated in his entire life, let alone this time. The heaven-devouring titanic beast and Long Qinglan might not let him escape. In this battle, no matter what he did, Long Chen could only fight. A fight to the death. There was no luck. Life was everything, and death was destruction. I am your father, and I have made you who you are. Going against me is disgraceful. Long Qinglan shook his head with a bitter smile. As he shook his head, he waved his hand, and waves of ripples covered the entire dragon's sacrificial realm. If this is also a rule, then I will give it a name. One flower, one world. One flower, one world. As he said this, the waves of ripples were like a flower, changing, shaking, and penetrating everything. This was not a move to determine life and death, but a transformation. This was not an illusion. This move and ability naturally surpassed the illusionary dream charm dragon's illusionary rules. This was the real world, and it had changed. As the ripples swept past Long Chen felt an earth-shattering change. It came from the entire 10,000 realms and, naturally, from himself. Bang, bang, bang. The 10,000 realms changed. Wung, wung. Waves rolled, and Long Chun felt like he was in a river. What a shocking move. Beyond 10,000 realms, beyond rules. Although the other party was his opponent, but Long Chun still had to sigh in admiration. The heaven-devouring titanic beast actually had such an ultimate move, one that Long Chun could not understand. It was an ability that transcended the rules. Perhaps the first ancestral dragon had sealed such an ability from the heaven-devouring titanic beast. Xueqi, you are an ant, dust, and so am I.
Pa.
Long Chen's feet were firmly planted, but he was swaying. He swayed along with the ground he was standing on, swaying left and right. How can I be like this? Long Chen's heart churned like the ocean, and was in turmoil like a storm. His eyes widened as he looked ahead.
Hua.
In that instant, his vision cleared up. He was actually standing on a boat. It was a wooden boat. It was about 20 meters long and 4 meters wide. It was heavy and mighty, and there were many mottled marks on the wooden planks. Clearly, it had been through the ravages of time. Where is this? He looked around in shock. He was standing on a boat, and the boat was motionless, fixed in a certain position. Long Chen's eyes widened as he looked ahead. All he could see was the same color. Below him was the churning gray seawater, and above him was the endless gray fog. This was a gray sea with no end in sight. Go. The gray sea continued to surge, and countless waves rolled. This boat could not move, but it did not drift with the waves. Instead, it was fixed in place. What kind of illusion is this? Let me break it. Long Chen had thought that everything he was seeing was fake. However, just as he was about to use his natural laws to break the illusion, he discovered that he had forgotten everything. At this moment, he powerlessly waved his hands and discovered that he was actually immortal. His flesh, his bones, his breathing, and he even felt a bit hungry and tired. All of this had left Long Chun after he became a god. And today, it had reappeared. When he raised his hands in front of his eyes. When he could not stand steadily, his hands swayed with the slightest movement of the boat. When he felt a bone-chilling cold. He realized that he had lost all of his cultivation. It was as though he had woken up one night in Baiyang town. He had not even begun to temper his body, and was just a powerless young master. Dust. Surpassing the rules. Long Chen suddenly understood. The heaven-devouring titanic beast was truly capable of returning to its most primitive starting point. At this starting point, he was just a speck of dust that knew nothing. A single stab into his body would be enough to take his life. This was not an illusion. This was reality. This boat. Long Chen stared at his feet. He remembered that the heaven-devouring titanic beast had likened the infinite worlds to a boat. This boat is the infinite worlds. When I step on a wooden plank, I destroy a star region of the infinite worlds. His eyes could still clearly see which planks were and which star areas were.
Creak.
The boat creaked in the water, and the infinite worlds collided and died. He had not actually become weaker. It was just that the infinite worlds had changed, and he had changed as well. He was one of the 10 ancestor dragons, and now he was the leader of the infinite worlds. Only he has such heaven-defying ability. The heaven-devouring titanic beast had done this. Xueqi, how's the view? A voice reverberated in the empty boat. Where is the view if there is only illusion? Long Chen was searching for his position. Clearly, he could not return to normal. The heaven-devouring titanic beast's ability was unsolvable. The only solution was to kill him. But now that he was powerless, how could he kill him?
Kiki.
The other party laughed softly. But this is the myriad worlds that I've seen. Of course, without me, you would never have seen it. Aren't you going to kill me?
Come on.
Long Chen's eyes were cold as he looked at the empty boat. Roar. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.